Hello. All right, give me 1 second here as I fix my camera. A lot better there. All right. Hold on. I'm very. You guys can probably see it here. I don't know what the hell. Oh, okay. Wow. The Thunder just gave up on that. All right. Well, obviously that was a hell of a game. I was not able to watch it fully, but I did record it. So I'll be going to watch that Thunder versus Cavs game because that game clearly lived up to the hype. And good job at the NBA. I want to give the NBA props because they actually did a good job of actually marketing that game. Obviously, it's on ESPN today, so it's a pretty damn big game. The two #1 seeds are going at it, so it should be marketed well. They did a good job of it, so good job there. But the Cavs pulled out in that one, which is actually kind of surprising for me. I thought the Thunder would win that, but that's a very good game. So if you ever have time, go watch that game, because that game was clearly awesome. And then after that, we have Giannis versus Wembanyama. So I do want to go watch at least part of that game live. So just due to this being a pretty awful loss, right? Unfortunately, there isn't a lot to talk about that's positive in this one. So I'm going to keep it pretty light tonight. A lot of things that we do have to cover, though. And then I'm going to make sure that I go watch the second half of that Bucks versus Spurs game, because that's going to be a damn good game. And I think you should all go watch that as well if you're able to. But first things first, before we get into that, we got to get into this game and talk about what exactly the hell happened today. I won't lie, I am shocked that the Indiana Pacers are now 2 games over 500, but they came into tonight only 1 game over 500. They've been on a much better stretch recently. They've won 11 their last 15 or 11 their last 16 or something like that. So they've been playing a lot better, but from the defense that I saw tonight, I was very shocked to see that this Pacers team this is a Pacers team that we saw tonight, knowing their record and knowing that they've had their struggles this year where some things are just not exactly clicking for them. And, Halliburton's had his struggles, especially early on, but he's been a lot better lately. Siakam's numbers are just a little bit down compared to what we're used to seeing. And they didn't have their anchor tonight, Miles Turner. So I was just very shocked to see how well the defense played tonight for the Indiana Pacers. Now, granted, they are coached by Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle is known for being defensive first coach, and he does a lot of good things defensively. He is one of the best, in my opinion, in terms of making adjustments on the fly. And coming in with a really nice game plan tonight was to pretty much blitz Kobe White and blitz Zach LaVine as often as they could. And the Bulls really had a rough time with that, because that's their 2 main initiators, right? Those are your 2 main guys that kind of set up the offense and are the 2 main guys who rely on getting paint touches and finding others when they can. And that was rough to watch, because you see the 2 main guys that you trust the most, they're getting double teamed, and it led to a lot of turnovers. So that was very evident early on. And unfortunately, this is something that with Billy that I have just a bit of a gripe with about, which is it's not that big of a deal, but in my opinion, whenever there is a time like this where you see 2 guys who come to the ball off the pick and roll, so let's say LaVine and Vooch are setting the pick and roll top of the key, and you see them run it, but then both guys go to Zach, okay? It's been very talked about how much Vooch is a nice release valve and everything, and I agree. I think Vooch is a nice release valve. He's a very solid passer. It's just that with the way this team is constructed, there really isn't another guy that you can then fully rely on to go and score, because what happens is the defense brings 2 to Zach. You then bring 1 to Vooch and force him to either create a shot, make a shot, or pass it, right? And so you then are having a 3v2 scenario, right? 1 guy stays on Kobe, because that's the other guy that can probably go and kill you, right? And do something with the basketball. So then you're forcing the other 2 guys on the floor, whether it is in the starting lineup, Patrick Williams or Josh Giddey, or whoever it is on the floor, right? You're forcing those 2 guys to go and score the basketball, okay? Or at most, you're forcing them to make a decision. And those guys are, they're typically guys that they need a decision made for them, right? So you're forcing guys that are not the best scorers to score, or they have to make the right decision, and that's harder for guys like those guys. And I think a big example of it tonight was Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams was a guy that was forced to make some decisions tonight, and a lot of times he just shot the ball, and he went 0 for 6 tonight. So it just kind of shows you these are things that I've always been a little bit onto Donovan about, because the way that I would personally adjust to it is, 1, you just don't run the pick and roll. I would personally just ISO LaVine, ISO Kobe, and let them just try to take guys off the dribble. And if for some reason then a defense still double teams, then it's a much easier way to take advantage when you're not getting doubled pretty much 36 feet out, right? while the defense is spread thin in that scenario, you're also then taking Zach or Kobe out of the play, right? That's the whole point, is that you're taking one of the better ball handlers / scorers completely out of the play once they get rid of that basketball. So in my opinion, the way that you need to adjust to it is just, you just need to let guys just ISO. And we saw a little bit more of that in the second half, and LaVine took advantage of many guys. I thought Kobe also had some moments where it was pretty good. So that was at least some of an adjustment, but it didn't come quickly enough in my opinion. But the other way I think you need to adjust is that you need to then, if you're going to run the screen and roll, then you need to run the screen and roll with somebody else, okay? And I'll give Billy credit in the fourth quarter because they actually started to run it with, we saw the Kobe LaVine pick and roll. That's a nice adjustment, right? And we saw it actually have some success, so I think that's something that the Bulls need to start looking into more. But in general, though, instead of putting Vooch as the screener, you need to have someone else be the screener. So in this case, let's just do this in this instance. You have Josh Giddey be the screener instead. So let's have LaVine have the basketball. You have Josh Giddey come up and set the screen. If LaVine gets doubled, then his release valve is Josh Giddey, right? So you throw it to Giddey, and Giddey is a good enough passer so that he can go and find the open guy. But the more important thing is that now you have Vooch as a scorer. Vooch is now, instead of him kind of being at like 28 feet out and having to like dribble the basketball and make a decision, right? He is mostly just in a spot to go and score. So I just think that's something that needs to be looked at, because other teams do this when they realize, oh, this guy's getting doubled. Okay, well, then let's make sure that one of our other better scorers is available to go and be, available to get a scoring opportunity off of that guy getting doubled. Obviously, if it's two perimeter players, it's pretty simple. You just run the screen roll between those two guys and make a defense that make a decision. Because then if you double team the one guy, then the other best scorer is open, right? But because it's a guard big situation for the Bulls, right? And Vooch is not Jokic, it puts a lot of stress on the other guys to actually go and make shots, right? Because LaVine's getting taken out of the play, or Kobe's getting taken out of the play, and then Vooch has to go make that decision, which he's not really a scoring threat wherever he is. He's not going to take a guy off the dribble, right? So it's just something that I think the Bulls need to just look into. I'm not saying that I know exactly how to like run it all. Like, I'm not saying that I have like a full out solution of everything, but I've just seen other teams do it, and I don't know why the Bulls don't do it. And I would like to see them try to do it, just to give a different look to the defense, to be like, okay, here's our response to them blitzing the ball handler. Let's give it to this guy and run this sort of action with it. Again, though, the other way is just that you ISO, right? Or you run the screen and roll between Kobe and LaVine, which that was effective, and we got some good looks off of it. So I think that's something that the Bulls can maybe just take away from this game and move forward with. And so Donovan made adjustments, and like he eventually did make adjustments in this one. So I just want to make it clear, like Donovan didn't just sit on his ass and didn't do anything all game. He eventually made adjustments. It's just, in my opinion, it's too late. And that's something that I don't know if it's like the players themselves or if it's Donovan himself, like, and the rest of the coaching staff, but like the Bulls need to have adjustments quicker. Like, you need to have it ready to go pretty much with this when it comes to this sort of stuff. Like, you can't just be like, okay, I got to think about adjustments for 5 minutes and then it'll come to me like at this point and like, okay, now we can implement it. Like, you gotta have answers to defensive schemes on the fly, like ready to go. Like, you have to practice this sort of stuff. You can't just be like, okay, I'm ready for it now after I've thought about it for 10 minutes. So it's something that the Bulls just need to just kind of work on. But basically, the reason why I'm talking about this a lot is because the Pacers did one hell of a job tonight, just absolutely hounding the ball handlers and making sure that they had a really rough time. Not only did they do that, they then were trying to make sure the Bulls weren't getting threes up. So the Bulls, I think, only took 17 threes in that first half, but you saw a lot were either contested late in the shot clock, and you really just didn't see like a lot of open, good-looking threes, right? The Pacers were doing a really good job of running guys off the three-point line. That was their entire defense tonight, was that, hey, we're a small team, Bulls. We're going to blitz the main guys, so LaVine and Kobe, you're going to get blitzed a lot off the pick-and-roll action because those are your two main scorers, right? Or your two main guys that can really get into the lane. But then after that, though, you need to... It's like, okay, we're going to kick it out to three-point shooters, right? Well, if you're the Pacers, you're like, okay, well, if you're just be kicking out to three-point shooters, then we're going to be running at these guys to basically just beg them to go in and score. Ideally, you have a Miles Turner in this sort of situation, right? Because then if you basically dare a guy, hey, go to the basket, I dare you to go to the rim, against us, and we have 7'2" Miles Turner back there, one of the best shot blockers in the league. It's going to be a hard time for this Bulls team because they lack size, right? They didn't have Miles Turner tonight, but the Bulls didn't take good enough advantage of shots inside, and we saw some missed layups overall. I won't lie, Vooch is kind of scaring me because he's missed some gimmies now. It's just some forced shots at the basket that don't really make much sense, and then when I think he has a mismatch, he seems to rush it. So not liking what I'm seeing from Vooch recently. He had a nice game against the Spurs, but it's been a little bit less efficient and a little bit more kind of last year Vooch than what we're seeing right now. We need to get back to what we're used to from this year, and he's taking advantage of guys on the interior a lot more often. So it's overall just frustrating to see the Bulls not adjust quick enough in this game. And then Donovan, he kind of just threw out some in the fourth quarter, like some overall like Hail Mary lineups. And so I appreciate that, but the adjustments have to come faster. I'm just talking mostly offensively for now. I understand that the biggest story tonight is probably the defense. The Pacers, I think, had 70 points in the paint tonight. Yeah, 76. So I mean, like, this is like obviously the biggest issue of it all. But this team's not supposed to be good defensively. They don't have size. They don't have a rim protector. So I'm not exactly shocked to see this. And the Pacers have been a team that have been really attacking the paint this year. So I'm not really that shocked to see this. Well, on offense, though, which this team has been pretty solid overall on offense. And again, it hasn't been perfect, but they've been overall pretty good. I would just hope that they would have the adjustments out there, and they just didn't. So just saying, I want to just kind of go ahead and just start the stream with that, because I think that the team itself needed to have better adjustments just faster. So whether it is Billy, whether it is the players, whether it is, the coaching staff overall, or the scouting is just not there. Preparation heading into a game, right? Like that clearly needs to be better. Whatever it is, just that needs to just get fixed. The Bulls have a nice homestand coming up here. They play 5 straight at home, so you're not going to practice during that time because it's basically game, day off, and then a back-to-back in there as well. But with that being said, I would hope that Donovan starts going over some things in film session and maybe some shoot-around stuff, because that's stuff that really needs to get kind of cleared up here. And while I understand it, it's like, well, if you don't have Zach, then maybe this isn't as much of an issue where it's like guys are getting double-teamed constantly. Kobe got double-teamed a decent amount in this game, or blitz, I should say. Like maybe not necessarily double-team, but blitz on the pick-and-roll action. So like if you're going to be keeping Kobe around, this is something that he needs to learn. And also just for the other young guys like Giddey, like P-Will, like Phillips, like Buzelis, like what do you do in that sort of situation? Who are some guys that you can maybe more rely on to set a screen and make a decision, and who are the guys that actually need to, stay in the corner instead? That's maybe something that you can kind of figure out with, in this time. So yeah, I wanted just to open up with that because it was just the biggest thing in my opinion tonight that was pretty frustrating to watch. Props to Rick Carlisle. The Pacers and co really scouted the Bulls really well tonight, and they came out with one hell of a game plan, and it just took too long for the Bulls to adjust to make it kind of like a competitive game. But that being said, though, I would much rather this just be an L tonight, because kind of all things considered, Levine was kind of your only scorer tonight. Kobe, he was kind of here and there. But after that, I mean, Jalen Smith was the other guy, and he really didn't get going until the fourth quarter. So not really a lot to talk about, especially for the young guys. Patrick Williams probably had one of his worst games of the season, and that's saying something because he had an awful start to the season. Giddey had some pretty rough moments as well, 5 turnovers for him. So there's nothing really there to really talk about from Giddey's point. Phillips had some okay moments. Buzelis didn't really do anything tonight. Had 4 fouls. Chris Duarte got into the game out of all people and played 14 minutes, which is insane. But he got some serious runs tonight, and I don't really think there's anything special there. THT actually had 8 points, but that's, I'm not really impressed by what he did out there. So I wish the Bulls had some of the G League guys tonight, because I would have liked to have seen them in this game. I would have liked to have seen Sonogo. I would have liked to see Liddell, right? I understand though that they got to play in the G League game, so that's top priority. But I would have liked to, just kind of see some run for them. But they're all in G League assignment, which they should be. So it's just unfortunate circumstances. But if there's ever gonna be an L for this sort of, or a game like this, I would just like for it to be an L, and it was an L tonight. Nothing really to talk about from the young guys. No IL still. Kobe was the best out of the young guys, but he had some rough moments too. And even Zach tonight, like Zach had a hell of another scoring performance tonight, and still damn good efficiency. But he even had some rough turnovers that just was basically the entire overall storyline tonight. Is that the turnovers were terrible, guys were out of sync on offense, which is props to the Pacers defense, because the Pacers defense was really making guys have a rough time out there. But then also defensively was just awful tonight. So when it comes to defense, I'm going to make it pretty quick here. I'm not going to be like getting too deep into it, because yet again, I just want to make it clear to everybody, whether you are a person that wants to keep the pick like me, or whether you're a person that for some reason wants this team to try to win out and try to win every single game this year, you should know that heading into this season that this team is going to be garbage defensively. I'm seeing some tweets on Twitter that are very confusing to me, because I don't understand why some people are upset at some of the defensive levels of some players. You knew this coming into the season. If you just watch basketball coming into the season, you should know that some of these guys defensively are not very good. Some people, for some reason, are shocked at Kobe White's regression defensively this year. I'm like, hey, that's kind of, if you just kind of knew basketball, then this really shouldn't be that much of a shocker. Last year, defensively, Kobe wasn't even that good. The numbers say so. Yet I understand. I was like, oh, see that he gave the effort. I'm like, I appreciate the effort, but just like a lot of guys on this team, Kobe does not have the physical tools to be a good defender. He just doesn't. So it wasn't shocking to see that, like, guys are just kind of getting beat off the dribble tonight. Guys were not in the passing lanes, and they just don't have the physical tools to get steals or to kind of load up on one guy and effectively change their shot, unless your name is Buzelis, right? So that's not that shocking to me. However, what is frustrating to me is that for some reason, yet again, the defensive schemes, and like we're talking about like defensive protocols tonight, were just bad. This is one of those games where the switching was just not there. The Bulls defensively were lost on just when to switch and when not to switch. And this is communication issues that I have a personal issue with. Again, this team is going to be bad defensively. I understand that. But all I ask is that you at least run your defensive schemes correctly, and you give effort, and you, no matter what, you're going to have your defensive protocols in place. I understand here and there will be a mistake. That's every defense. But when you don't switch, when it's a very simple switch, that's a problem. That sort of stuff really bothers me. And this was top down. Like it didn't matter who it was. Like it was everybody tonight. It didn't matter who was running the pick and roll for the Pacers. It didn't matter who the two guys were involved in the screen and roll. It didn't matter who it was. We even saw tonight where like Lonzo, who he came in and had a pretty nice effect in the first quarter, but he even messed up on some switches tonight. Like he wasn't prepared to switch when he should be ready to switch. Like that. I don't know if it's just mental preparedness from the players, which I'm not going to blame Billy for that. I mean, guys need to come in and just be ready to play. But just the overall level of energy was just not there. And if you're not going to switch, then, bro, call it out. If you're going to switch, you got to call it out. Again, from top to bottom, from good defensive players to bad defensive players, or guys who should be good defensively, it was just bad tonight. No one was switching properly. We saw too many line drives to the basket. I won't lie. One thing that is pretty frustrating to me is that P. Will, like, this was kind of shocking to me, but I think P. Will was actually kind of getting picked on tonight. It's kind of shocking to say, but the Pacers were kind of like almost looking to get him on certain guys, and then they were just going after him. And this is yet again a guy that we're supposed to be looking at as a solid defender, not special. I'm just saying solid, and it just seemed like the Pacers are just willing to go after him. And this is where I get concerned with his slow-footedness, where people keep saying like he should be playing the three, and I'm like, I don't know, bro. I don't know if he can. Especially against some other, like, if you're playing the three, then you're probably going to be guarding the two guard at some point that game. And I don't know. I won't lie. Like, he was kind of getting beat by guys. I'm like, I don't think that guy's that good, but he just was slow. But we saw obviously like Levine had some horrible moments on defense, especially on the rotations, but that's everybody. I mean, like I saw no one rotate effectively tonight. Vooch's effort, I won't lie, bro. Like I understand that like a lot of people don't want to like get onto Vooch, but like his effort, like just because like the defense is bad on the perimeter doesn't mean that like, oh yeah, Vooch is gonna be like you can just like slack off. Like there are many times tonight, in my opinion, where I thought Vooch was supposed to rotate and he just didn't rotate. So like I understand like it's like I'm not saying this is all Vooch's fault. This is definitely not Vooch's fault tonight. I mean, I would blame the perimeter players more, but you know, a lot of people defend Vooch for his, you know, lack of defensive abilities because especially on this team, because it's like, well, the team around him just isn't good defensively. But this was one of those games, in my opinion, where I'm like, where are you, Vooch? Like, you need to rotate here, and he just wasn't there. I thought Giddy tonight, like, he just was way too over aggressive when he tried to be, you know, try to do something defensively. We saw him try to go for a swipe or a steal, and it, you know, led to a layup for the Pacers. We saw with Giddy, like he's like trying to like, get into passing lanes, and then he got called for a foul on one, and like he tried to reach in and help. Like, so you know, there's always like a level to your effort, but yeah, there wasn't anything special from him defensively tonight, and I know like he's been getting some blocks recently. So guys just gotta come ready. Again, I'm not asking for anything good defensively. I'm not asking for a major, you know, lockdown on opposing teams, but you got to come in and just be ready to switch. If it's a guard pick and roll, switch it. Be ready to in position to switch. If it's not that, then you know the big man and the guard need to kind of figure out what you're gonna do. Because sometimes now with Vooch, like we're seeing more recently that Vooch does switch, but sometimes they still don't switch, right? And that's by design because Vooch is not that great of a perimeter defender. So guys just gotta be ready overall. So overall, it's really disappointing to see, especially because none of the young guys really did anything tonight, and I think they actually got a pretty significant amount of minutes overall. I know that a lot of it was kind of garbage time. Like we had, it's like basically add or subtract an extra 4 off of what they did play today, but guys had their chances to come in and like kind of put an effect on the game, and it just didn't happen. So yeah, not too happy overall. And again, it wasn't like Levine was like taking a bunch of shots. He took 20 tonight, and I understand it's more than usual, but he only took like I think 7, or he took 9 shots in the first half, and it was only 4 of 9. So guys just gotta come in and just be better. Be ready to play on both ends of the floor, and I need to see something from some of these young guys, because I won't lie, bro. Like the lack of stuff right now from some of these guys is just concerning. We talked about Kobe's struggles. I know Iowa isn't here right now. Kobe's just inconsistencies has just been like a thing all season long. He's just better in the second half for whatever reason. Giddy has not had that good of a stretch recently. Patrick Williams, you know, I kind of gave him a little bit of a break because I've always criticized the hell out of him on this channel. I kind of gave him a little bit of a break earlier. I don't remember which game it was actually, but I gave him a break, and then I think it was the Knicks game, and then you know he had a pretty nice game against the Spurs, and then this game happens, and I'm like, holy hell, you know, I gave you a break, but like this cannot happen. This sort of stuff that we see from P. Will tonight, it's just not. I can't live with it. I understand it's like, you know, it's like we're only picking on him, but again, contract. People talk about him being a starter from here on out. Like, this is not one of those good performances, and I don't. I think we're officially past like, okay, he's past like the minutes restriction. So this is something that I have to really get onto him about. And unfortunately, there was this tweet that I did see. I do want to bring this up because this I think is kind of interesting. You'll probably figure it out. So if you're wondering, so yeah, this is the answer pretty much. But if I zoom in really quickly here, okay. Player A, okay. So trying to match up who's who. You probably know those 2 players, right? If you saw the tweet here, who replied. But player A, right, versus player B per 36 minutes, okay. go ahead. Yeah, I know a lot of people aren't chatting right now. I'm sure you're watching other games, so that's perfectly fine. But whether you're in the VOD or whoever is watching right now, go ahead and just think to yourself, like, who is player A and who is player B? You can probably already assume that Patrick Williams is already in this conversation because I just was talking about him. Okay, so you can probably assume that P-Will is one of these guys. So go ahead and choose which one you think. But player B is, if you saw the reply, then you know who it is. But if you don't know, then go ahead and guess. But this is just shocking to me because I understand per 36 isn't perfect, but in terms of just overall production, right, from certain guys, and again, per 36 isn't perfect, but it's an estimated measurement for how much a player would give in terms of production if they play 36 minutes every single night. Okay, it's kind of shocking when you look at it. Okay, so to give you guys the answer right now, if you've had some time to think, okay, pause it if you haven't. But player A is Patrick Williams. Okay, player B is Matas Buzelis. All right. Now again, this is not the stats for the season. Okay, this is per 36 numbers, so it's an estimate of how much production these guys would give if they play 36 minutes every single night. Okay, so for Pat, just from what he does on a typical basis, 13 points per game, 40% field goal percentage, and 38% from 3-point range. That's their right now. That is their just normal field goal percentage. Okay, but it would be 5.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.2 steals, 0.8 blocks, 2 turnovers. Okay, Buzelis obviously is not starting. He's not playing 36 minutes per night, but this is what the estimate would be if he did play 36 minutes per night. Okay, and again, I'm not saying that if Buzelis does suddenly start and play 36 minutes, this will be his numbers. I'm not saying this, okay, but I think it would be at least kind of close to this on a regular basis. He's not gonna go out perfectly average 14 points and 7 rebounds, okay, but I just think it would be interesting just to see. But if the Buzelis' per 36 numbers is 13.6 points per game. Field goal percentage this year for Buzelis has been pretty atrocious, right? But that's not too shocking because he is a rookie. But 7.2 rebounds, 1.5 assists per game, 0.7 steals, 2.3 blocks though. Buzelis' blocks per game, he's already close to averaging a block per game, and he's coming off the bench and getting 13 minutes a night. This is his estimate if he played starting level minutes. We would get 2 blocks per game, over 2 blocks per game. Okay, 1.6 turnovers. Okay. When it comes to Pat, and again, I think he's overall when he came back, he's played pretty okay. But in terms of just overall production, okay, we're looking at Buzelis in his horrible field goal percentage. He would right now average 4 points per game. He's going to average more rebounds per game. Now, that should happen because Buzelis is bigger. But it also does show you that Pat, I think, does not always give a good enough effort on the glass. But the blocks is something that cannot just be thrown out under the water. Blocks and steals, or what we call stocks, right? In this sort of per 36 estimate, Buzelis would give you 3 stocks per game. P-Will gives you 2. That's serious level of defensive playmaking that cannot just be thrown under the rug. That's important. That's the sort of stuff here that it's I look at Pat and I understand what he brings. 3-point shooter. He's an okay defender as we look at it for now. At least he should be. Should it give you some flexibility at the forward position of guarding either forward spot and can guard some of the bigger guards. Okay, but he doesn't rebound consistently enough. There's some games he gives you it and some games he doesn't. He doesn't cut enough as just an offensive player in the offense. And he's not, bringing anything in terms of his dribbling. It's too inconsistent. And in terms of his steals and blocks, I mean, he'll give you some, but it's not that consistent. It's overall just not something that he's always going to bring. With Buzelis, I understand right now his field goal percentage is down the drain. It's not anywhere near, okay? But I at least know with him that he is going to shoot every single shot that he's open. He's going to cut harder to the basket than P-Will does, and he's going to effectively rebound better than P-Will does on both ends, okay? But also just knowing this, with just knowing that when Buzelis is on the floor, he is most likely just going to get a block. That's something that people just can't give you. He just can't. That's something that I look at and I'm like, that's value that is, something that can't be taught. And it's value that cannot just be spread to another player. That's value that only Buzelis can bring right now on this team. That's premium value. So again, I'm not here to be like, we need to start Buzelis from here on out. Like, I'm not here to say that. People should still be starting because Buzelis clearly is still not ready. But Patrick really needs to start understanding consistency, and like, he needs to, no matter what day it is or what shots he's gonna get, he needs to bring it. And if you can't find any sort of shots for that game because you're limited on offense in terms of your shot creating ability and you're not a good finisher at the rim at the moment, you're mostly just a 3-point shooter. But if you can't find that right now, like, if you can't throughout the game, if you can't find much opportunities to score because of just how the ball goes, right? Then you got to bring more on the glass. You got to bring more in terms of the steals and blocks. You got to bring more defensively. You got to bring more just in terms of your effort to get offensive rebounds. Because right now, just from other guys not even trying as hard, your production just isn't meeting that level. That's just a concerning part about it. And so I understand that it's like, I'm not trying to be a stat Andy, but when it comes to Pat, like, it's just not enough in terms of what he does that doesn't show up in the box score. So I really need to see him do other things consistently that don't show up in the box score, or you got to start putting some more stuff in the box score, because that's the only thing right now that I'm seeing that actually brings value to this squad, from you at least. So he has to evolve as a player, or he has to do more in terms of box score numbers, because that's what he really needs to start doing. Good 3-point shooter, but that's not enough for me just to be like, yeah, you're a starter from here on out, moving forward. So as much as, people want to talk about evaluations and stuff, like, this is just kind of the thing with Pat. I see some good stretches. I see some terrible stretches. I see a good game here. I see a bad game here. This is an atrocious game. This cannot happen from Pat. This is unacceptable from him. This cannot happen. Okay. Now, if Pat was being a consistent player and then put up a game like this, like if he was giving me, 13 out of the 14 games, he's giving me nice, consistent games, and then he has a game like this, then fine. I can live with a game like this then. But that's not what happens with Pat. It's always like, 2 games here, that's good. 2 games here, that's bad. A week that's good, a week that's bad. And I think right now, unfortunately, we're on the downturn for Pat in terms of his production. Because he's had a nice little stretch since coming back from his injury, but now it's like, I feel like, we're gonna go down the hill now. I don't want that. I don't want that for Pat. I really hope that he doesn't do that, but it's what we see. Yeah, and we talk about Kobe's inconsistencies. Giddey, I'm honestly starting to think that the Bulls need to start looking into some potential trade partners for Giddey. I don't know what exactly that means, but his offensive role is significantly decreased to the point where I don't really know exactly what's going to happen with him. Right now, I really need him to start figuring stuff out in transition better. He needs to push the ball more when he does get the ball for transition opportunities. Yeah, nice finish today, but it's obviously just not enough. And I understand he only played 21 minutes, so there's that. But it's got to be better for Giddey here, because he hasn't exactly had the best games recently. So yeah, I don't know, bro. This is just one of those games where it's like, it sucks overall to watch because not only are the young guys not playing well, but you're obviously just the team as a whole is just not playing well. And it's one thing to kind of be bad and watch young guys kind of figure out their development, but it's another thing to watch a team that, they have some young guys that you're kind of hoping will kind of turn a corner, and you have a game like this and you're just like, Jesus, bro. If they didn't have Zach tonight, I don't know what the hell the score would have been, but it would not have been good. Overall, everything we found was the Bulls bringing Zion, Jimmy, or Beal, or Jokic. Yeah, or Jokic. Yeah, but definitely. Boozer just needs to be the spark for the Bulls off the bench, but he needs consistent playing time to do so. I agree. Yeah, like Chris Duarte checking in before Buzelis is pretty stupid. I won't lie, that's probably the one big issue I had with Billy tonight. Was that Duarte was like put in really early on because he's like, I need something. I need the guys to kind of turn it up, and he's looking for some sort of answer. And he went to Duarte first before Buzelis. Duarte played more minutes than Buzelis tonight. That's insane. That's the one thing that I don't understand if from Billy. Because again, I'm not. I understand Billy's not gonna, be like, oh, we're actually trying to develop guys. He's gonna play, young guys minutes and let them play through mistakes. But if he's actively trying to win a game, Montes Buzelis gives you a much better chance of trying to win a game or affect the game positively than Chris Duarte does. I'm sorry. That's just facts. And so to see that Donovan went to Duarte first before trying to put Buzelis in, and I understand, roles, or, Buzelis is much more of a forward than Duarte is, but I don't know, bro. That was a weird decision by Donovan. So I'm definitely interested to see why that happened. But if Buzelis can come in and be a spark, that'd be great. But you're right, though, Woodage. Like, he needs to have those minutes. He needs to get those consistent minutes. I've been asking for at least 18, and it's not going to happen for whatever reason for Billy's decisions. But Chris Duarte stock growing. Yeah, sure. I'm sure it grew a lot tonight after having a 2 for 5 shooting night, 3 assists and 3 rebounds with 2 fouls, 5 points in 14 minutes. Yeah, I'm sure it grew tonight. Yeah, I don't know, bro. Chris Duarte, the problem with him is that he came into the league so old, like just as an older guy, and he's not like a Buddy Hield, right? Like Buddy Hield, he came into the league as an older guy, but his shooting is just very good. Which I'll talk about Buddy Hield in a second here, just from numbers. But Duarte, and I understand he's a pretty decent shooter, but he's not like Buddy Hield level shooting, and I don't really know what he is in terms of his position. Defensively, I mean, I know that he's had some nice moments defensively in his career, but it's not like he's anything special. Yeah, it's just rough for him. So I'm sure that some team will find some more use for him, but like for a guy that's like basically already 27 on this roster and already guard heavy, but also like you need to have other guys play. He's almost 28, bro. Kind of rough. It's kind of rough for Duarte right now. So I appreciate that he was ready to play today. But I mean, you just kind of see, like, I understand that rookie year is nice. But his overall minutes and games played have just kind of significantly decreased, and along that with his points. So yeah, Chris Duarte stock's growing. Duarte can get off the team for anything. Besides obviously cash, which I know that's a whole thing, but yeah, if you could get anything for Chris Duarte, if you get like a top 55 protected second round pick for Chris Duarte, then you take it. Honestly, if you just get if you're just trading bench warmers, I'll take it. That's not to like diss Chris Duarte, that's just saying like the situation, and unfortunately I just don't really see much of a future for him on this team. I understand he's part of the DeRozan deal, but if he ends the season with this team, I can guarantee you the Bulls are not throwing a qualifying offer at him as he hits restricted free agency as a 27-year-old. So yeah, but again, I appreciate his professionalism and coming off the bench, just kind of randomly called upon tonight. Yeah, can't believe I spent watching this game and missed the last two. Oh, bro, I'm sorry, Dusk. You picked the wrong game to watch tonight, bro. You missed D Rose night, bro? Oh my god. Brother, you can't miss D Rose night and then you watch this one, bro. That's rough, bro. I do apologize about that. Unfortunately, I cannot send you I mean, I guess I could technically, but make sure you don't spread it anywhere, but I mean, I do. Oh, you have replays. Okay, good. I was worried just because I'm glad at least you recorded things or whatever you got your replays with, because I understand, because with the antenna now BS, it's like it's hard. You gotta actually have a DVR or you gotta record it the way I do, which is much different. But yeah, I was hoping that you had replays at least, which at least you did. Rough timing though, man. Really rough timing. That really does suck. And unfortunately, it's like it's not like one of those like L's that's like, oh yeah, this young guy like had a nice performance, you know. This is one of those L's that just it's like, yeah, this is rough to watch. But you know, like I said earlier to start the stream, which I'm pretty sure you weren't here, I would much rather this be an L than like some random win when you're kind of seeing this sort of game where it's like only vets are kind of doing anything, and the young guys really aren't doing anything at all. You would kind of just, you know, you might as well just lose with the way the Bulls situation is, and they did just that. So good job. Any positive takeaway here? Kobe and Zach are looking better lately. So, I mean, I guess if you mean better for Zach, I mean Levine's on an absolute tear in terms of his scoring, but I don't really know. I'm just kind of like, I don't think a team's gonna trade for him, and again, that's not his fault. He's playing damn well, but just the contract and the CBA is garbage. I guess you can say Kobe, like overall, this is better from Kobe than you know, obviously like his December games that we saw from him. But I also think he had a pretty rough first half in this one, but I'll give him credit for kind of figuring things out a little bit in the second half and kind of having a better game. But first half wasn't exactly the best from him. I think the biggest kind of like from the younger guys, like the guys that I know will be kind of here moving forward. I think Jalen Smith had a really nice game overall, mostly in the fourth quarter. But we kind of saw Jalen Smith's impact in that fourth where, you know, Billy didn't go back to Vooch. He just kind of ran with Jalen Smith, which I appreciated that. But his three-point shooting when he's on is like really nice. He's a pretty solid rebounder when he gets the chance to have the minutes to rebound. And yeah, like when Smith is like fully like 100% right, like he's a very efficient scorer. I know like this year is not really compared to what he did last year in terms of efficiency. Like Jalen Smith last year, in terms of efficiency, was like out of this world. Like it was just like, how the hell are you that efficient? Well, he also shot threes. This year, obviously, it just hasn't been like that. I mean, he came in shooting 45% and 33% from three-point range. But when he is right and he gets like that chance to kind of be right, like his efficiency is usually pretty solid. So you know, I'm hoping for Jalen Smith, honestly, like he becomes like a Bobby Portis type role for us, because like I don't really think he's gonna be. I don't really think he's going to be much of a starter, honestly, unless he's playing the 4, which I don't really see a team doing that. So I really think that he's going to be like that nice like Bobby Portis style. So I'm hoping that's what ends up with Jalen Smith, because I like Jalen Smith a lot. I think he's a very nice bench player to have, but he's not going to be a starter probably, just from what I've seen. Maybe Daniel Kobe, why I don't know why it's not talked about on as much on Twitter, at least. I think the Twitter sphere is very much like if you did a poll and you got 100 Bulls people from Twitter, I would guess that 80 out of 100 would say that they want to keep Kobe. Camille, like I that would just be my estimate, just because a lot of people really fell in love with Kobe last year, and just with the way things are, like they probably want to keep him overall. But I agree. I think that more people need to kind of start talking about it. I might even start kind of tweeting about it a little bit more of like, look, man, I understand with Kobe, like Kobe hit his like season average again, of like the typical 19 that we always talk about with Kobe. But I don't know. I you know, people will disagree with me on this. I've said it too many times on this channel already, but I don't think he's going to become an all-star. I don't think he'll get there. That's just my personal opinion. Okay. You can disagree with me on it, but just because like I don't really see much of a ceiling for him. Like he's not gonna get to Levine level. If you're wondering, like I think Levine's on a much different level than Kobe in terms of just efficiency and scoring ability. Now obviously consistency is very clearly different. Just look at this season alone. But I understand a lot of people want to keep him, and I can understand that from some people, but at the same time, which is kind of how the contracts are now, you know, second year of a very cheap deal. He's going to ask for a lot more money. I'm just kind of like, hey, we should probably look into trade him and see if there's any trade partners for him. That's not to knock him. That's not to say like, hey, he's bad. I'm not saying that. I just think that just kind of my evaluation of him as a player, which he's been, you know, the fact that we're even here at this point where he's averaging 18 is like a big. That in itself is a major success. I did not think Kobe White would ever average 18 points per game in the NBA in the season. Like I never thought he would get to 19. Like that in itself is incredible from Kobe. But that being said, I'm like, is there a team out there that's willing to kind of give up some stuff for him? Because again, you don't have him for much longer on this current contract. Next season is the last year. I agree, Camille. I think that we should be really looking into potentially dangling him for some teams to kind of maybe start a bidding war on him. Because again, cheap contracts right now for a nice shooter is kind of hard to find, especially for a guy of Kobe's caliber in terms of off the dribble ability. So I would personally be looking to dangle him as much as possible and get as much as I can for him in return. Because if you're wondering, unless he goes off next season to have like a he's going to suddenly average like 25 next season, okay? Which at that point you just keep him. But right now, his value is only going to decrease, okay? Just because of the fact that he's his contract is in terms of how long he's on it decreases by the day, right? His value is only going to decrease from here on out. So you right now you need to trade him, at least by trade deadline, in my opinion. Because if you're going to look to trade him in the offseason, you're going to get less than what you're going to get today. So, I like Kobe. I think he's taking major strides here. We have the same last name. I overall, I have appreciated watching his development because I did not think he'd ever become this sort of player. And even like in the 2022-23 season when he came off the bench mostly, like that was a very solid year from him. I think a lot of teams would appreciate a year like that from guys, but that overall is just something where it's just like, bro, I don't know. I like Kobe a lot, but I understand a lot of Bulls fans love him. So, I haven't seen post videos in a while. Would you consider doing a mid-season team breakdown where you break down some plays? I don't see other Bulls content creators getting that detailed level content, but I appreciate that a lot, Dusk. Yeah, so my plan is to have like a breakdown video of like kind of mid-season. I don't know when exactly it's gonna come. It's probably gonna come All-Star break right now, which is kind of like my schedule at the moment. I probably should have done one when the Bulls had 4 days off in the middle of like the in-season tournament, but I didn't get to that. So probably expect one around All-Star break. When I will be breaking down stuff that's I've seen from this year. Like I've consistently been breaking down plays on like in the streams. Like I guess it's not every stream, but like, I've been showing like consistent plays that the Bulls have been running in my streams, and I break down a lot of things still on stream. So I won't be doing that tonight, unfortunately, just because the game itself was just pretty awful. But yeah, if you do want to look for some of that stuff, then there are some in the previous stream, and then I don't know about Derrick Rose tonight, honestly, but I think we ran some for Derrick. I did some for Derrick Rose night. So if you want to see some stuff like that, it's in those streams. The VODs are up. But I will also be making a video, kind of just my overall just like stuff that I see from this year in terms of like plays that are being run, kind of schemes that the Bulls have been running all season long, consistent motion that I've been seeing. So yeah. That's stuff that I will be breaking down though on video. I promise you that in the middle of the season. I do apologize though. I haven't posted a video since October 23rd, but I won't lie. I've just been enjoying the streaming a lot more. Videos are nice. Like I like making videos, but like the way that it goes in my head is videos are like I try to at least make it under 20 minutes. I always try. I know I sometimes go over, but it's like I have to get like so much information out and do a lot of stuff in just 20 minutes. I have to say every sentence perfectly. I have to, I don't like I can edit my videos, but it's like it's a lot of work, and unfortunately, it's just I don't have like the hardware for it to do it quickly enough. So streaming is just I love it. I honestly I love streaming. The community's been awesome. Everyone that's been joining the streams has just been awesome. And I get to do what I love on stream. So, but I promise I'll be making videos. And obviously off season is mostly videos because I don't usually stream in the off season. I don't usually stream in the off season. So yeah, I appreciate that though, Dusk. And I promise videos will be coming in the middle of the season. What am I including Kobe in a deal for Zion, who's acted to get to be the primary playmaker? I mean, I've talked about this already. If you're wondering about like is Kobe for Zion, like, is that possible? It is. God, I hate Spot Track sometimes, how they build the website. Sorry, Keith Smith. I love you, but some decisions you guys make are weird. So, I mean, again, Zion, I just want to make it clear to everybody, you're not trading LaVine for Zion. Like, there's no reason to do that because Zion, if you're trading for Zion, you're trying to win now. I understand a lot of people are like, oh, you see, Zion's only 24. He can, like, be part of the rebuild. Like, no. If you're trading for Zion, if you needed Zion at 19 for him to be part of the rebuild, okay? He's 24. He's on his second, he's on his second contract. He's, when he's right, he plays an all-star level already. So, like, you're not going to be bad enough to get multiple, top 5 picks if you have Zion on your roster, assuming he plays. Okay, I understand that, he probably won't play enough games. But if you're trading for Zion, you're trading him to win now. So it is possible, if you're wondering, like, this would be, like, the trade, like, that I'm looking at. I understand a lot of people wouldn't want to give up Lonzo, but the other idea would then trade Patrick Williams, which you'd have to wait until the 15th to do that. But, yeah, I mean, if for some reason the Pelicans accept this, then I'd be kind of down for it, honestly, Woodage. I'd probably be looking to find still another ball handler, though. I understand that, like, Giddey's like the playmaker for a lot of people, but I personally do not want Josh Giddey to be the point guard right now. I think he's just better kind of being off ball. So don't exactly know what that means for Giddey's future, but I'd be looking to go get a different point guard if I make that trade personally. Don't expect for Kobe White trade, but between him and I, we're to keep. I also agree with that, Camille. Like, I understand a lot. And by the way, if you're wondering, it's just like, is it a Chicago thing? Like, Chicago, Iowa's Chicago, and like Chicago product, and like we love our Chicago guys, but it's really not. Like, if I just like forget, where these guys are from. If I just looked at these two guys and I look at their their resumes and everything, I just think with Io, knowing that his contract's gonna be a lot cheaper, I think the risk versus reward with Io in terms of the contract is just worth it. I think Io can either come off the bench or start, and if he's going to start, he has to probably be at the 2. But I think with knowing that he's a good defender, and I understand his three-point shooting has been all over the place this year, but his scoring is actually, like, even with the bad three-point shooting, his scoring has actually been pretty solid, all things considered. And when he's started, he's actually been very good. But I mean, he's at this year, like, and he's off the bench for a lot of games. He's still averaging a career high in points per game, and he's still shooting close to 50% overall from the field, even with the bad 3-point shooting percentage this year. But if you look at Io's overall stats for his when he starts, okay, it's been actually really solid for him, and that's kind of the reason why, like, I think it's worth it, just because, like, again, he's not gonna ask for as much money as Kobe will, because Kobe's gonna ask for a lot of money because he's been more of a starter the last couple of seasons, right? Especially mostly last year, right? But sorry, I'm trying to. Sure, we'll do this. With Io, like, I look at him and I'm like, okay, defensively, I at least know what I'm gonna be getting. With him, which is obviously pretty solid perimeter defense, but just knowing that he can come off the bench. I know he's had a rough stretch off the bench this year, but come off the bench, play either one or the 2. If he starts, he's probably the 2 guard in that sense, unless you have, like, your main playmakers at, like, forward positions or the other guard position, I guess. But he basically would be like the other guard, assuming that the other guard is a very a very nice overall playmaker / scorer. But he would kind of probably be your 2 guard of the future, maybe. But yeah, I would like that personally. Sure, watch my streams, man. Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. If you, no matter what, Dust, you're always welcome. Yeah, watch streams. Again, if you can't watch it, watch the VOD. VODs are always up. Sure, Mrs. Aria, but briefly, what's your take on P-Will right now? What do we do with him? Oh boy. So yeah, I briefly discussed it, or I guess I took a while to discuss it. So I don't know if you're still here, Dusk, okay? But here are 2 players per 36 numbers, okay? Now, per 36 isn't perfect, but it's an estimate of what a player's production would be if they play 36 minutes a night. Okay. Go ahead and I'll give you a minute. I'll keep talking, but I'll give you a minute on who you think is player A, and who is player B. Okay. So here are the numbers up on screen. This is tweeted out by Drew Stevens, by the way. So go ahead. Who's player A? Who's player B? I'll give you a hint. One of them is Patrick Williams, as you probably can tell. Pat is just I'm just still in this mindset with Pat right now that it's the inconsistency with him is just so annoying. I thought that since he had come back from his injury, he was actually playing pretty solid. Like it didn't always show up in the box score, but I thought defensively he looked really solid. He was moving his feet pretty well, like better than he was in the beginning of the season. And then 3-point shooting wise, he's been pretty good. But then, it just as always with Pat, it seems like you'll get like 2 weeks of like something good, and then like he'll have like a week of bad play, or you'll get like a good game here, a bad game here, a good game here, bad game here, 2 good games, then a bad game, right? And it's just so damn frustrating just to watch because he's getting paid starter level money, and he needs to go and be a starter, right? And unfortunately, in a game like this tonight, where you can't hit a damn shot, he needs to still find ways to be effective because now the ball's not coming to you because you're not hitting your shot, right? And that's where with Pat, the production really is problematic right now. Yeah, I'm not overall happy. He had a pretty awful start to the season. He kind of figured things out after like 12 games, got injured, came back, played pretty well, all things considered. And then most recently, mostly in that next game, which was not very good, which I gave him a pass for in the next game. And then this game was not very good. He had a good game against San Antonio. He played pretty solid against San Antonio. But this game, though, was not good from Pat. This is pretty much inexcusable, in my opinion, from Pat. So to kind of put a bow tie in this, player A is Patrick Williams. Player B is Montas Buzelis. Per 36 is not perfect. I understand that, like, if you're wondering, like, oh, if Buzelis just played 36 minutes per night, he would average 14 points per game. Like, no, it's not perfect, okay? But at least so far, just from Buzelis' overall production off the bench, and he's only getting like 13 minutes per game, okay? Here is the estimate of what Buzelis would do in the starting lineup. And already, you can kind of see he's kind of already eclipsing what P. Will is doing in the starting lineup. Again, this is just per 36 production, okay? It's not points per game stats. It's not like, oh, here are your season stats or anything like that. It's per 36. But, 13 points per game for Pat, 13.6 points per game for Buzelis. 7 rebounds for Buzelis. Like that's the estimate that Buzelis would give you if he played 36 minutes a night. He would give you 7 rebounds. Pat right now is going to give you 5.5 if you play 36 minutes per night. Assists is 3 to 1.5. But the biggest thing, in my opinion, is the steals and blocks. I understand Pat doesn't necessarily have the verticality and athleticism of Buzelis, but Buzelis right now, just from this alone, Buzelis is giving you 2.3 blocks per game per 36 minutes. Okay, Pat's giving you 0.8. Pat's giving you 1.2 steals per 36 minutes. Buzelis gives you 0.7. But the way that I do it, though, or the way I think about it, is I combine steals and blocks for stocks, because that's a stat that we track in this league. Stocks, okay, steals and blocks. In essence, though, Buzelis gives you 3 stocks. Pat only gives you 2, and that in itself is something that can't be taught. It's something that is kind of like a premium value, right? That Buzelis basically gives you an extra stock per 36 minutes. Okay, that's crazy, right? Just that alone is already significant. And again, this is with Buzelis just off the bench. Okay, I would imagine that he's going to give you probably more stocks than just one extra than P. Will would if he just played more minutes, because he's been that good of a shot blocker already to start his career. So with Pat, I'm overall just like I'm just kind of still where I'm at when Pat first came into the league, which is not good. Like, by the way, like, I'm just like, there are nights you look like a starter, there are nights you look like a bench player, and then there are just some nights where I'm like, bro, you're not getting the basketball because, one, you're not a shot creator, but two, you right now are not making your shot. And for whatever reason, the ball's not being swung to you. You need to go have an impact on this game. And if I had to make a bet on who would have an impact on this game if they're not getting shots, I would make a bet that Buzelis probably is going to give you that impact more than Patrick would. And that already is frustrating just to see because Buzelis is a rookie, not fully developed, clearly has some mental errors still, and Pat is Pat. So, if Pat plays right, then he's a starter in this league, and his contract is worthy. But right now, though, just the inconsistencies is so damn frustrating that, like, a night like tonight is just not good to see. If Pat was having, like, a nice, 10-game stretch where he's, like, putting up consistent points, consistent effort on defense, then he has a night like tonight, I'm like, hey, I can live with it. But he doesn't do that. And again, I'm not asking for 20 points per game. I'm just asking you just to go and be consistent, and give good effort and have an impact on the game. And unfortunately tonight, not only was his shot off, he couldn't make a damn shot, but defensively, it looked like Indiana was going after him defensively. That doesn't make me feel good. So yeah, just overall, long answer, TLDR, I'm disappointed with Pat. I'm concerned with him moving forward because I think Buzelis is honestly coming for his job very quickly. It might not happen this year, but moving forward, I think Buzelis is your 4 of the future. I understand people like Pat can play the 3, but I don't know, bro. I think his foot speed might be too slow, honestly. Pat might flourish with Zion around him as he can focus more on defense. I would disagree. I don't know if that's necessarily what would happen. I think because Zion's not that good of a defender either, Pat would have to focus more on the perimeter, and I don't think he's really that good out there. Or at least he's not excelling out there by any means. I'm not saying he's excelling on the interior either, but if I had to ask Pat to guard a bigger guy or a smaller guy or a bigger guy that's a little bit slower or a smaller guy that has the foot speed, I would ask Pat to guard the bigger guy. Here's A versus B. Sure, the ceiling of Montes is way higher than Pat. Well, he got the dog in him. I think Buzelis' ceiling is significantly higher than Patrick Williams, just due to the fact that Buzelis' physical tools are much better. Okay, Buzelis has the standing reach, the wingspan, the athleticism, and the height over Pat. Right? Those are all 4 things and they play the same damn position. Right? That's something that you look at with Pat, and you're just like, damn, bro. Like, hey, I know you're giving effort, Pat, at least on most nights, but this guy over here just has more physical tools over you. That alone is just going to have more impact on the game. Right? And so then, obviously, with Pat right now, his 3-point percentage is what's kind of keeping him in the starting lineup for now. But, I mean, it probably won't happen this year in terms of a starting lineup shift, but I wouldn't be shocked in next year if Buzelis takes a step forward, like he's in the starting lineup easily, and Pat's job might be in jeopardy in terms of starting every single night. Stacey King's been saying put Montes at 3, maybe keep Pat at 4. That would have issues at that point. Giddy probably can't start, in my opinion. So I've been very adamant that that's not going to happen, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. If you watch my Montes Buzelis video on the breakdown for him, okay, I've been very adamant and that he is a 4, okay? Can he guard perimeter players? Yes, I think Buzelis can guard perimeter players. But the biggest thing that Buzelis gives you is his shot blocking, okay? His biggest asset to the team is his length and his shot blocking ability in general, his rim protection, okay? I would much rather have Buzelis be in position to help at the basket and be that rotator defender rather than him guarding guys and having to fight over screens and try to stay in front of guys that are faster than him, okay? Because I don't think that maximizes his best abilities, okay? Can he do it? Sure. Like, can he guard a guard? I think so. I've seen enough from this year alone that I think he can be an effective guy on the perimeter. But I think to maximize his defensive impact, he needs to play the 4. Because that's where he's going to get the most shot blocking opportunities. He's going to be guarding guys that aren't going to be blowing past them and get the quick first step on him, which he's done a good job this year recovering against that. But he's going to be in better positions at the 4 to be that rim protector, and then also that guy to come over and help and rotate, and then be able to fly out and recover onto guys in the perimeter for 3-point shots, which again, if you're against slower footed people, you have a better chance at recovering. So I've been very adamant about this, that he needs to play the 4. His shot blocking ability is too damn good to have him be on the perimeter and be chasing guys around off screens. That's not what I need him doing. Can he do it? Yes, I've seen him be able to do it, but I want his shot blocking ability and kind of, you know, again, he won't be a Giannis, but I want him more to be what Giannis does than what Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, and the other great perimeter defenders in this league do. So basically, in like, you know, very technical terms, I want him to be the help defender. I do not want him to be the point of attack defender. Can he do either? Yes, I think he can be the point of attack defender, but I don't want him consistently doing that. He needs to play the 4. At least in my opinion. At least the way that I've looked at him, scouted him, and evaluated him on it. That's just at least in my opinion. Now at Pat, I don't think Pat at the 3 is going to really work out that much either. I think he's too slow-footed. He doesn't have the physical tools like Buzelis to kind of recover on if he gets like beat on a quick first step. And I think with Pat, he's already at a point where I don't like. I guess the one argument is that he just doesn't rebound enough anyway. But like, I don't think he's going to be more effective chasing guys off screens, honestly. So I don't know. Personally, I don't think Pat has the foot speed to play the 3 consistently, because you'll probably be guarding 2 guards at that point as well. At least that's my opinion. But the 3-point shot's at least there, so maybe. I don't know how many more opportunities people need. Last season it was about DeRozan. Well, even here's the thing, Camille. I said though that if Pat can't play next to DeMar DeRozan, then who the hell is he going to play next to? Like, you're going to tell me that, like, oh, he needs a LeBron James to kind of get the most out of him, which is insane. Like, no, that's not going to work. Yeah, I'm telling you, bro. Like, with Pat, like, I give him a pass for that Knicks game. This is not a pass tonight. Like, we have to talk about tonight. It's unacceptable for what we saw tonight. And, like, if Pat can't, you know, up his scoring averages in this sort of system where, like, I understand Levine and Vooch are still here, but Levine is not taking as many shots. Vooch is also not taking as many shots. The ball is being spread. He can't get his scoring up, though. That's the problem with Pat. Like, I don't know what's going to come down to with them. Like, I don't know what's going to take for him to, like, suddenly break out. And honestly, I think we're just at the point where it's like, no more. Like, he is who he is. And unfortunately, that comes with inconsistency, and that just cannot happen right now. At least as much inconsistency as he has, like, that can't happen as a starter. You can have off nights as a starter, but you can't have this many off nights consistently like Pat does, where you just don't have an effect on the game enough where it's like, yeah, I can start you every single game and we'll be fine, even if you're not scoring. Sorry, no sure for P, no will, cover me surprised. Yeah, hi, Box. Welcome in. Yep, it's frustrating as hell, Box. I'm gonna send this in the chat here. Player A versus player B, Box. You go ahead and look at this. I already talked about it twice, so I'm not gonna talk about it again. But go ahead and look at this when you have the chance. They read the detailed breakdown. Always learn a lot from the game from you. I appreciate that, Dust. I know I ramble a lot, but I do appreciate that a lot. I try to lower the amount I talk, but I appreciate that. Random question: are there any other Bulls YouTubers you're a fan of? Bull Central Pod, Hayes. I'm sure you know him. He's my biggest fan. I'm the biggest fan of him. I think he's very good at what he does. I don't know if you count Will Gottlieb as a Bulls YouTuber because he's part of CHGO, which I know CHGO is very controversial at this moment. But Will Gottlieb, if you don't follow him right now on Twitter or on any social media, go follow him now. Will Gottlieb is the best in my opinion. I learned a lot from him. So he would be the guy that I would personally always tell people go follow him. Personally. So can't believe we were watching Pete. Absolutely no will for former years. Yep. Woohoo. Hello, Jamal. Is that Bulls Central YouTube? Who's player B? Buzelis? It is Buzelis. Yes, Box. Player B is Buzelis. And again, per 36 isn't perfect, but player B is Buzelis. Dusk, is Jamal, I'm assuming you're talking about Bull Central YouTube, right? Yeah, Bull Central, he also does and one hoops. So yeah, and one hoops is that's his NBA like overall channel, right? Like it's not just Bulls, it's just like overall NBA, right? Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, so I won't lie, Dusk. So Jamal, I appreciate what he does. I think he puts in more effort than me when it comes to Bulls content. My thing with him is just that I've gotten to some, like, I know it's petty of me. You can admit, you can say it to me, but I've gotten to some Twitter arguments with him, and it's because he tweets out stuff a lot, in my opinion, that, or it's not even just in my opinion. He's tweeted out stuff that is just factually incorrect. I've gone on him at Twitter for one time. He tweeted out this trade that he wanted the Bulls to do. And it involved Derrick Jones Jr. like in this trade. And he's like, why didn't the front office do this trade? Like, I just drew it up here for you. And I tweeted at him like, look, first off, I understand your frustration, but your trade that you drew up here, it's not possible. He talked about, like, he was saying like, well, the player contracts have to match up between, like, 10% each way. I'm like, no, that's not how trade rules work. And I was very adamant. I'm like, listen, you're not understanding the trade rules. And I'm not saying, and he took it as if I'm saying like I'm better than him. I'm not. I don't think I'm better than him. Like, I think he does a much better job of making content than me. I think he is much more involved in the Bulls community than me. I think he's a better YouTuber than me. Okay. But when it comes down to like the very tiny details about this stuff, I'm very adamant about getting that right. And so that sort of stuff, when it comes to him, where he's tweeting out things to his community saying like, hey, this is an illegal trade. This is a legal trade. And then I come at him and I'm like, listen, this is not possible. The trade that you drew up, the contracts do not match under the current rules of the CBA. But not to mention, at that current time, Derrick Jones Jr. was not eligible to be traded because he just signed a new contract. He was not eligible to be traded at all. And so I was just like pointing things out. I'm like, hey, listen, like, this is not correct. He just has this big fan base though, so it's like, he like, the community's always going to support him, and I understand that. Props to them. Like, they're ride and dies, right? But when it comes to people like getting things right, like, if like I'm all for like trade talk, and like, if you like come in and ask like, hey, is this possible? Like, I'm all for it. But when you draw up trades and they don't even go through the trade machine properly, like, I have a problem with it. Like, you can't just be spreading this sort of stuff out into the world and be like, hey, this guy who's actually correct is wrong, I'm right. That bothers me overall. So I've just kind of stopped watching his content. He does a damn good job. His, everything he does, I think, is very, very good. I appreciated when he made his interviews, with like Casey Johnson, with Adam Amin, with others from, that cover the Bulls. Like, he does a damn good job of that. But I don't think he fully, gets down to like the big details that are important, in my opinion. Because the last thing I want people to do is start saying like, why didn't the Bulls do this trade when it's literally illegal to do that trade? So I just, yeah, that's just the only thing with Bull Central. Again, he's a better YouTuber than me. He's a better content creator than me. He does a damn good job interviewing guys. I think he puts a lot of effort into his channel, more than I do. But would I personally want to interact with him and do a collab with him? Probably not. Because I think that I would probably just argue with him, because I don't think he understands the rules fully. But he acts like he does. Which, I can live with those people. It's just that when you start saying that I'm wrong when I know I'm right about something, which, again, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I'm like, hey, I am right. I'm like, you got to listen to me. I'm just saying, like, listen, I know I'm right because I've looked into this sort of stuff. I've also have asked people like, listen, hey, look at this. Is this legal? And they say, no, this isn't. You were right that this is illegal to do. That just sort of frustrates me. And it kind of like always sends a message like, hey, I don't want to work with you. I'm like, okay, sure. That's fine. I'm doing just fine on my own, you know? I think my community has been awesome. And I think we have a lot of like-minded people in this community. So, that's not, by the way, Dusk, I'm not saying don't stop watching him. I think he's a very good YouTuber. Continue watching him. But I also just, when I do always tell people though, when I say, hey, continue watching him, but also try to, if he does say a trade needs to happen or he draws up a trade, fact check him. Because I don't think he fully understands the trade rules. If you just want to know TLDR, trading is a lot damn harder in the NBA than people think. It's very hard. There's a reason why trades just don't happen every single day. It's a very hard thing to do. I understand 2K has made people think like, oh, you can just do all this and that, and boom, we got it. Like, that's not how this works. There's a lot that goes into it. So sorry for Zach, who's constantly balling out, and Zoe showing more effort, understands urgency, is willing to do all the things to help win most of our players. It looks like they are jaded players that have already won like 3 to 4 chips, are kind of bored, and for now they're taking the season off to reset. I won't lie, bro. I think both of them have like come out to like show like this year like they have something to prove. I think both Levine and Lonzo have like come out like, hey, we have something to prove here. I actually don't think that they're like taking the season off, honestly. I think they've done a damn good job, honestly, of showing like, hey, one, for Zach specifically, like he can play as like a second option and then not have to be the first option to be a damn efficient scorer. But he's also done a good job of showing like, hey, he's healthy. Like, I think that's like the biggest thing. And he's done a good job of like involving the rest of his teammates. And you know, I think his passing this year has been much better than previous years. With Lonzo, I think the biggest thing with him has been like he's got to show the world that he can play, you know, almost every game, and he's done just that. But yeah, I can understand maybe where the frustration lies, but I think that they've been pretty actively engaged, in my opinion. As Andrew's backstory effect, I kind of lost some love for Hayes after some run-ins with him in the chat. He can be coarse, to put it mildly. When you mean coarse, do you mean that like he'll attack you, kind of how you look and everything, or like try to really attack your overall knowledge of stuff? Because I won't lie, that is the one thing with Hayes that I've had a problem with him, is that like he'll attack people's just look about them and say like, hey, you look like an idiot, like why should we listen to you? Like, that's not the way I would personally ever try to, you know, discuss things with people. That's also something that I just will never allow ever in this sort of community. So I can understand that for sure, if that's the reason why. Like Aiden from Down Under, I have not watched Aiden's content. I need to go watch his content. Local Bulls fan on Twitter also, I think, does a pretty decent job. I'll go ahead, I'll show his Twitter. Now I will say with him, so I guess he's not really like a YouTuber in a sense, but he's been doing more he's been doing a lot more stuff that's for Bulls on Tap. And so Bulls on Tap, in my opinion, with God, I'm blanking on his name. Yeah, here you go, Morris Bankston. He does a really good job. Like, he's similar to me in terms of like breaking down like plays and like certain, you know, overall actions and stuff like that. I do disagree with some of his takes, but I think that's the reason why we have discussions, you know. But overall, he's a really nice guy, and I also really like what he does. So yeah, Morris Bankston is this guy. And then local Bulls fan. He's very funny. I'll put it that way. He gets into he'll kind of get into like, if you look at his tweets, pretty much, like, again, like he doesn't really post on YouTube that often, but he does post a lot on Twitter. He'll go through the roller coaster of emotions like that. So like, if someone's having a damn good game and he like tweeted out like the last game like, oh, we gotta trade this guy immediately, and then then the next game he's just like, oh, bro, what, we gotta keep him, of course. Like, what was I thinking? He's done this with Josh Giddey like 5 times already this year. It's pretty funny, but he does a pretty good job of like kind of like engaging with people. So if you just want to have like a really nice like fun discussion, he's your guy. I think he's like a really nice guy just to kind of have fun with. So yeah, that'd be my other guy that I would go ahead and recommend. Vucevic has come out with the chip on his shoulder too, in my opinion, but lately he might be starting to lapse into his more apathetic ways. I agree, Dusk. Vooch recently, his shots at the rim are just scaring me. Like, he has not had that good of not had that efficiency like he had earlier in the year. I'm just interested to see the splits for December into January now, because like this we're talking about efficiency for him. That's just, I feel like it's just gone down. Okay, yeah. So since January, I mean, we're talking about field goal percentage has been over 50%, and then since January he is now shooting 43% from the from the field and 22% from 3-point range. Yeah, this is what I'm scared of with Vooch. He had a very nice October, November, and then most of December. But then this happened. Like, this is scaring me. So I'm hoping he'll get back to it. But I mean, granted, I mean the odds of him getting traded are already pretty slim. But I just, he needs to continue playing good so that there is that still chance of trading him. I'm just interested now to see this post ups, because he came into this year, like, or at the start of this year, he was being fantastic from the post this year. But now, more recently, he has not exactly looked too good. And this is the reason why I've always been like, I don't think posting a Vooch is that great of an idea overall, unless he has good interior position. But it's gone down a little bit. He was averaging over, it was at least at like 1.21 for him points per possession in the post, and he was in like the 90s percentile, but it's gone down a little bit recently. So something to keep an eye on, because if this goes down again, then it's like we're back to where we were last year. That'll be something just to keep an eye on. We'll check out the local Bulls fan thing. Yeah, go check him out. He's a nice guy to always. I've had some discussions with him overall. He's just a good guy. Is his knowledge the best? Maybe not. But I'm not calling him dumb, but he just kind of goes through like the roller coaster of like what he thinks is right and wrong. But he's a good guy just to have a nice talk with. Yeah. Anybody else that you watch, Dusk? Because I won't lie, I'm having more recently. I'm having a hard time watching a lot of people, just with lack of time. And obviously keeping up with my streams. Watching the game, you think the Pacers have won me in the paint? They need to pay attention. It's frickin' Thomas Bryant. They should be going to the paint all game long in order to destroy this bum. Well, I mean, yeah, Levine did that, but other than that, though, I mean, Vooch, in my opinion, had some gimmies tonight, and like Thomas Bryant somehow stopped him. I don't know. I just. That's what concerns me about Vooch. Is like, is the season finally catching up to him, or he's just doesn't have his legs anymore? That'll be concerning. I hope that's not the case, but it's not like the Bulls get a break anytime soon. Like, the Bulls are gonna be playing like, you know, game day off from here on out. So get it together. Okay, so this okay, it's not exactly that good of a game. So I'll keep streaming. I was gonna go watch this. And end stream, but it's not exactly that good of a game right now. Feel like the dad backs up the eye test with Vooch. Yeah, bro. I won't lie, I'm concerned about him. I'm very concerned about Vooch, and it's just efficiency overall. Because not only did last year, like, if you're wondering, again, just to do this one more time, because people for some reason just don't ever believe me. Vooch last year in the post was one of the worst players ever. This was him last year in the post. He averaged 0.9 points per possession. We're talking about 33rd percentile in the NBA. Okay, his efficiency field goal percentage was at 47.8%. Okay, like, that's not good. That's not really good overall. Again, we're talking about a big man. Okay, so again, just comparison to Jokic and Embiid, very clearly just better players. But then just compare it to other guys like Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo. Like, these guys are just better. I'm not saying it's much better. They're just better. Porzingis, Giannis, Jaren Jackson Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, okay? Vooch last year was god awful in the post. It was, I think this is honestly one of his worst years ever in the post. Yeah, Stacey King is like, no, we gotta keep feeding him. Okay. Now this year, this year in the post, he's done a lot better. If you're wondering, does he have more post ups per game? No, he doesn't. He's actually averaging less than last year. Okay. He's averaging 3 post up possessions per game this year, and he's just been better. Nothing's changed. He's just played better. Again, compared to last year, he had more possessions in the post compared to this year. But not only was he bad in the post last year, his 3-point percentage on just catch and shoot opportunities last year was dreadful. This year's been so much better. So I'm just hoping to God that it doesn't suddenly just go off a cliff again for him. And like since the new year, it's been pretty awful. But I'm hoping that just, 3 good months, he'll find his way back again, because I need a team to trade for him immediately. And it would just be poor timing if he suddenly actually just goes down again right a month before the trade deadline, and then no one's going to want to trade for him. Which, again, don't blame him. I already think teams don't want to trade for him because of his lack of defense, but if he isn't shooting the 3 ball or isn't really even scoring inside at all, yeah, that's not going to help the Bulls at all in any sort of situation. Other YouTubers are like, yeah, Aiden's Bull Show. He's not super analytical, but fair and loves the team. I also root for the guy doing Bulls Nation Station. Loves enthusiasm and voice. Who is that guy? I don't actually know that. That's a new channel to me. Bulls Nation Station. Here, I'll look it up quickly. Maybe we can pick up Valanciunas. I doubt it, honestly. Again, I don't really want Valanciunas. Like, I want a defensive-minded center, like, that can be a rim protector. Doesn't have to block shots necessarily. Just be a shot changer at the rim. I can live with him not really being a scoring threat, honestly. It would be nice, like, if you can at least hit an 18-footer, that'd be good. But, I've always wanted Nick Claxton. We'll see if he comes available. But even if he does, I don't think the Bulls are gonna be able to get him. But that would be like my sort of guy that I would love to see. Free throws are just the biggest issue with him. He's just not a good free throw shooter. But defensively, he can guard pretty much almost everybody and really efficient overall from the field. Sorry, Bulls. Sorry, I'm looking at Bulls Nation Station. This guy. Oh, you know what? I have seen his channel. I do not follow him, though, on Twitter. Oh, sorry, I hit my mic. I have seen his channel. I think I've watched at least one video of his, but I've not consistently watched him. So I'll check him out more. I appreciate that, Dusk. That's helpful. Coming super late after the game has had a meeting, but that Vooch defense was my peak pain and off. Look, bro. Yeah, I already called out Vooch defensively, but I mean, it was everybody tonight. But Vooch was nowhere to be found tonight on defense. I just, bro, I don't like. Look, bro, I understand a lot of people defend Vooch because, again, like, people like to pick on Vooch because it's lack of defense from him overall in his career, but the perimeter defense has got awful. Like, I understand that, but tonight was one of those nights where I'm like, where are you? Like, Vooch did not rotate on many actions tonight. That was really frustrating to watch overall. So yeah, it's definitely it's definitely something that's a problem. Whole letter doesn't continue. Clax is probably impossible to trade for. I think his mental issues about how bad he is this season is taking him off the court. Well, also, I think the Nets actually like really need to tank, because the Nets keep running into some accidental wins that they don't want, which they've lost 3 straight, but they won a game recently that was like they needed to lose that one. I hope so, bro. I would love if Nick Claxton could get to the Bulls. I just don't. It would genuinely require, though, a 3-team trade, because like you would need to get Vooch's contract off. And I just don't know how that happens. It's like we had Gafford pennies for the dollar the contract we gave him. Yep, I know. I was wrong about Gafford. That was that is one thing. Like I guess I've been wrong about multiple things, but like I would gladly say that I was wrong about Gafford. I did not think Daniel Gafford would ever become a starting level caliber or starting level player in this league. Never did. Never thought it would happen. Completely wrong. I was completely wrong about that. He is very clearly a starter in this league. Is he a starter? You know, I think the Mavericks need to go with Derek Lively for moving forward, but Gafford could definitely start in this league for sure. But I was so wrong about him. I was happy that they got rid of him because I didn't really see how he'd become a starter. I was mostly worried just about like you know, I already knew he was limited scoring wise, but like how effective are you actually running the pick and roll, and then how effective are you going to be in terms of rebounding and his ability to like kind of make passes out of the pick and roll. Was completely wrong about that. His rebounding is much more effective than I ever thought it would be. His shot blocking is much better than I thought it would be. Yeah, I was just wrong about that one. Watch the Bucks fan streams recently, and plenty seem to want him traded with his behavior. Oh, Claxton? I can definitely understand that. You meant Nets fans. Sorry, got it. I was especially lazy for Vooch. I saw the 3 Horford non-rotations. I was like, he didn't even try. Yeah. I mean, that was everybody. I mean, Zach had a non-rotation tonight. It was pretty egregious. But I won't lie, though. That play where Zach, you know, Stacey Keene pointed out, like, Zach didn't rotate, which, yeah, I agree. Zach didn't rotate. But the whole issue was that Lonzo tried to cheat over and play free safety, and then he tried to go for the steal when it was passed over to the top end in the corner. Like, the breakdown started with Lonzo. No one's going to blame Lonzo, of course, but that breakdown started with Lonzo. Like, that can't happen either. Like, Lonzo's just as much as fault as Zach not rotating over. But, like, that's the sort of stuff that happened tonight. Like, it's just guys were not playing defense, no matter what. Claxton's helping lose. Ben minutes have been better at center than Claxton. Not even a joke. Well, I think it's more so just, like, get rid of Claxton so you just have less bodies. But, yeah, I can maybe understand that. How long has it been since we had a rim protector and rim running center? It's got to be since Gaff. I mean, unless you count Andre Drummond, which I wouldn't, but it's been since Gafford. Yeah. Rim protector would be super useful for the Bulls for sure. Higher value for a team at the moment. I agree. But I mean, even just moving forward, bro. Like, I understand it's not like every single. I mean, let's just put it this way: Celtics won the championship last year. They had Porzingis, right? The Mavericks were in the finals last year. They had Gafford and Lively. Okay, I understand the Nuggets are different, but you have an MVP at center. Okay, so that's a little bit different. But Bam Adebayo for the Miami Heat made it to the finals. Okay, the Bucks won the championship recently. They had Giannis and Lopez as your rim protector. Okay, like you just kind of. I mean, I guess the Suns were different because they had Ayton, but they didn't win it. But you just kind of can see that like having that sort of like reliable rim protector or just interior deep defender is just good. Ideally, like Brook Lopez is the best case scenario because he's not your MVP, right? But he can shoot the 3 ball at an extremely high rate, and he's one of the best shot blockers in the league. Like that's the best case scenario. You want that guy. I understand he's getting older, but like that's like your best case scenario in terms of rim protection. I know Porzingis is similar, but he's like more involved in the offense. So yeah, Claxton obviously isn't that, but like, you know, he's a very, very, very capable defender, and I would love for him to be on the squad. But I mean, you look at the Cavaliers this year. You have Mobley and Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen had a hell of a game. The Thunder this year, they have Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. Like you just kind of you look at this sort of stuff and you're just like, yeah, having this sort of athletic big that can do a lot on the floor is probably pretty valuable to his squad. Bulls might have to trade for Claxton after this year because I forgot his contract is bigger this year than moving forward. If I remember correctly, Claxton's contract goes down. Yeah, okay, so it goes down. Sorry, hold on. I think I tried a 3. Oh, I didn't try 3. Okay. Let's see. All right, hold on. I'm just testing things out. I'm not saying this is it. I'm just testing things out here. So, Claxton goes to Chicago. Let's say Vucevic somehow, some way finds a way to Golden State. All right, and then for the Nets, you're gonna have to take on Kevon Looney's contract. So we'll give Kevon Looney to the Nets. They'd have to give up one of either Moses Moody or Kyle Anderson to make this work, along with GP2. Um, which would you would also have to go to Brooklyn in this scenario. And then let's just throw in Moses. I'm not saying this is it. I'm just throwing in Moses Moody for now. Okay, so and for the Bulls instance, this would fail for the Bulls because they're acquiring too much money because Claxton's contract is bigger. Trying to think how I could. 3-team trades is so damn hard, bro. This is one of the hardest things ever to do. Okay. Devon Carter. Sorry, hold on. What is Golden State? Outgoing is 22. Right, so send him to Brooklyn, and then we'll send Moses Moody to us. Some way. Again, I'm not saying this is it. I'm just pointing it. Okay, this would work. Okay, got it. Okay, it's doable. I'll say that for sure. I'm trying to figure out if there's another way I can because if you're the Bulls, then can you send Torrey Craig to Golden State still? Would this also work? Because this would also help this area. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Picks would have to be involved and everything. Again, this isn't perfect or anything. I'm just looking around here. But yeah. I was at a game last night randomly with Taco Falls playing and saw hype that he's trying to get back into that. For some reason, I expected to be able to protect the rim. He's really bad. Was especially Taco. But I've watched Taco in person at Summer League. He's not capable enough. He's tall as hell, but he is not a rim protector by any means. Doesn't move his feet well enough, and he doesn't know how to use his body. He picks up too many fouls. So, Taco's a fun player. He is not a guy that I am expecting to get back into the NBA, fortunately. I don't consider Drummond neither a rim protector or rim running big, especially a rim protector. Rim running is highly questionable. He can't play the pick and roll to save his life. I would agree that his overall pick and roll ability is not exactly the best. You are right that his second chance points is his biggest thing. Hi, Magoogle. How you doing? Magoogle, would you like Nick Claxton on the team? You will for Claxton purely money wise. I mean, I'm all for it. Would I do that trade? Yeah, I am sending P. Will immediately to the airport. Would Brooklyn do that trade? Probably not. And I don't want to give up anything else. I'm not giving up assets to get Nick Claxton on the team, or at least theoretically. Sure. All right. Yeah, I mean this is just an idea I had in my mind. I don't the Nets would not accept this. They would need picks, which would probably go to him from Golden State. If you're the Bulls, you get Claxton and Moses Moody out of this sort of scenario, which again is not I guess I could flip this where I can here I'll do this instead. Maybe this will still work. I think this will still work. All right, cool. So Moses Moody would go to Brooklyn, and then let's say instead we get GP2. I think money wise this would still work. Yeah, this would still work money wise. Okay. So this would probably be more legit because the Nets would get Moses Moody out of this deal, which they want. They would also probably get the pick from Golden State that's going to be involved in this deal. So they'll get a first round pick out of this. Bulls get Claxton. They'll get GP2 out of it. Bulls would probably have to send a second round pick also to the Nets as well. Warriors get Vucevic and Torrey Craig for Moses Moody, Kevon Looney, and GP2. That's honestly that's not too bad. This isn't too bad of a trade that I drawn up here. I can kind of see this happening. It matters just though, obviously. I'll show you what I'm saying here, but like, Golden State would have to send their first round pick to Brooklyn. The Bulls would probably have to send a 20. I don't know. Let's just send the. Or hold on. Where's this? Okay, sure. We'll send this one. I understand they'll probably want this one, but we'll just send this one for now to Brooklyn. And this will be the deal. So Nets will get Moses Moody, which is the younger player from the Warriors, plus a first round pick and a second from us, first round pick for the Warriors to get Kevon Looney, who they'll probably trade off. And they'll get Javon Carter out of it, which is not helpful for them, but he'll go back to Brooklyn. Bulls will get Nick Claxton out of this, and we'll get GP2, and then Warriors will get Vucevic and Torrey Craig out of it. Honestly, though, if this is probably what's going to be happening, then if you're the Warriors, you probably would just ask for Nick Claxton instead. You would not want Vucevic. Yeah. Yeah, but the Bulls take a swing next season on a center via trade, via Sanogo if it has to be, or by draft. I don't think Sanogo will be ready to start by any means, but I would really like to see Sanogo be off the bench. I think Sanogo, with what I'm seeing like right now, I think Sanogo could be a bench player. The problem is, though, is that you have Jalen Smith, right? So where does Sanogo play? Like, you would have to like play Jalen Smith at the 4, and that's like the only like major concern about it. So I'm if you're actually gonna be like terrible next year, then you'll start Jalen Smith and play Sanogo at backup. Which again, that's not to knock those two players. I just don't think either of them are starters. But I don't think that's gonna be the that's not gonna be the center rotation, probably. Nice and alarm bells on Vucevic for me on it. Is this turning point for his trade value to go down and playing poorly? I'm with you, Charles. I am very much concerned about Vucevic's effort, but also just his efficiency. Since January started, Charles, this is his numbers coming into tonight's game. Like, this is his efficiency. I mean, he's still averaging 19 and 12, in the month of January, but his efficiency just took a dip. 43%, 22%. Like, that's scary. I do not want to see that. I am with you. They've also get a extra second round for the next draft for someone for the center swing. Even that would be a nice time for when the Bulls can take those swings. You mean the 2025 draft? So if you're saying for the 2025 draft, the Bulls do have a pick this year. Off the bench for Sanogo, yeah, it's just split minutes. Smith is no stand with plenty of minutes there. Fair. But if you have a starting center, then like I don't think you can have two backup centers. The Bulls top design. I agree. Like, for example, like let's say the Bulls actually get Claxton, right? Then like Sanogo is not gonna be your backup. Sanogo's not gonna be your backup big. Like Jalen Smith will be your backup big. So like, again, if next year though, if like you just don't have a center next year, then you're bad. Like you run Jalen Smith that's starting, and then you have Sanogo at backup. Like that's fine. I mean, if you're trying to actually get like the top pick in the draft, like that's fine. But I don't think this Bulls team will do that. I have very little faith that they'll go out and do that. But if you're wondering though, by the way, for the 2025 draft, the Bulls have the Sacramento Kings pick. Like it is fully theirs. So if they're willing to take a swing for a center in the 2025 draft, then I mean, hey, you got to pick. Sacramento is, I mean, just with the way things are, I know that they're playing better recently, but they're not going to be like at the very top of the West. So this will kind of be like mid-second round for what it's projected to be right now. So it's not going to be like, like 58th. It's going to be like mid-second round. So yeah, I mean, I'd be all for taking a swing for a guy in the second round. Now, granted, though, I will say this. I've always said this about drafts. I don't really care about what the needs are for a team in a draft. Go ask the Portland Trail Blazers how that went. I've always said just like whoever you think has either the best potential or is the best overall player, just take him. So if it happens to be a center, great. But I'm not going to be like going into the second round thinking like, oh, we need a center. Now I do think though in the second round, centers are usually like the best player available. So like it's probably going to happen. But I always, any draft pick, at least in my opinion, I'm just like, I don't care what the team construct is, just go get the best player. Don't pull a Portland Trailblazers where they had Clyde Drexler and like, yeah, we don't need Michael Jordan, and you draft Sam Bowie. I understand that it's not always perfect for every draft scenario. I just think that for any rebuilding team, I should also point out, like, if you're trying to win, that's a different story. I will admit, like, if you're trying to win, like, and you need shooting, go and get shooting. But if you're like a rebuilding team like the Bulls are, or well, at least they should be, and you're just trying to accumulate as much talent as possible in a little amount of time, you should just go and just get the best player. So if it happens to be a point guard, which I know you have a ton of guards on this team already, but if it happens to be a point guard, then good, go draft that guy. Would much rather just you draft him than be like, oh, we need a center, and you draft the center instead when you could have had a point guard that ended up being pretty good. That's just the way I always look at it. So that's the way I always approach drafts. Do I know the draft prospects? No, I don't know any of these guys. I know the top picks, and that's it. I don't watch college basketball, but that's the way I would always approach drafts, is just pick the best guy available, personally. When I get drafted, I'll have to pick hype players that look flashy like Scoot. Well, I mean, I understand that, but I'm just saying overall for anybody that's trying to rebuild, like, your job is to go just get the best players available. Like, I don't care, what your recent draft history is, but like, you draft the best player available. Pascal in the lottery, so might be biased. That's crazy, actually, Charles. You might actually end up being right about that. If you were in this chat earlier, there are people, including Box My Mod, that was like, they were legitimately thinking that they would draft Scoot Henderson over Wembanyama, and I was telling them that they were nuts, but like, you might be the one, you might have gotten that right, because like, I had Scoot at number 2, but I was telling people, you do not draft Scoot Henderson over Wembanyama. I'm sorry. Wemby is, no matter what, he need to draft a number 1. I don't care about injuries. But they were worried about injuries so much that they're like, oh, that should have been like Scoot Henderson instead. I'm like, you guys are insane. Like, if I have a chance to draft the next demigod, then I draft him. I don't care about injuries. Like, I'm willing to take the risk. Unless he has like an actual, like, he can never play basketball ever again injury currently, then I am drafting drafting Wemby. Like, that's just how it always goes. I know others have mentioned Roko's Zakarsky, and to be honest, I'm starting to feel as likely a second round pick that might suit a raw prospect. I've heard that name multiple times. I just don't really know who he is. I've heard that name, though, or at least I've seen it passed around on Twitter a bunch. Yeah, sure. I need to go watch them, but sure. Quick look at the mock draft. I know this is a weird shit. I usually never do this because I don't know. I don't know anybody, but I just want to see where the Bulls are listed. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out which one's the Bulls here, because yeah, oh, okay, outstanding. I understand that. Cool. Okay, no, cool. That's helpful. The Bulls. This is, I think this is the pick from the Bulls. And then this would be the Bulls then, because this is Sacramento's pick, but then Sacramento's picks going to the Bulls. Oh wait, no. Okay, I understand it now. Sorry. This is the Bulls pick, because the Bulls the Bulls' second round pick this year is going to San Antonio. Now, okay, now I'm understanding. So yeah, the Bulls pick is going to San Antonio. So that's the Bulls. This is Sacramento's pick. This would go to the Bulls here. And then this is I don't know what else. Sacramento got some other pick, I guess, because that's a pick that I'm not understanding. Oh, I guess it's Chicago. Wait, no, so that's San Antonio. I don't know, actually. I'm very confused, honestly. I guess I don't know which day this was updated the 4th, so I actually maybe this might actually be the Bulls pick then. Either way, though, we're looking at a higher than mid pick right now. You're not familiar with. I mean, I appreciate this honestly because like you guys, like this is what I appreciate listening to you guys about this because I don't know anything, you know. So I would like to see this. I like seeing this sort of stuff, but you gotta like, you know, you gotta direct me to the right places to look at things. He's raw as I could call him a high ceilings, yet risky floor, so good in the second round. Oh yeah, I mean yeah, you definitely do that then. Like, just so we're aware, like second round, I understand a lot of people just like pick like the high floors, but like you could have like a low ceiling. That's, you know, I understand that, but I personally am always, if you're again trying to just, if you're rebuilding, you should be trying to get as much young talent as possible, but you should not be picking high floors and low ceilings. You should be picking high ceilings. You should always be doing that, even in the second round. Like, if you're wondering about IO, for example, like, oh, that was a high floor. Like, I think IO honestly is like a higher ceiling. Like, I'm being dead serious. Would Atlanta make a move for Zach? What's going on, Noel? I seriously doubt it. By the way, I don't know if you've seen this. Here's our Nick Claxton idea. Probably won't happen, but we can dream as Bulls fans that we get Nick Claxton suddenly. But this would trade Boosh to the Warriors, Claxton to us, and then Nets would get first round pick from the Warriors, second round pick from us, and Moses Moody. I don't know, just a thought. I'm gonna save this trade, just to keep this for future reference. Would Atlanta trade for Zach? I doubt it, but let me just go ahead and look. So, Atlanta, I think, has figured out, like, with, you know, Trey and Dyson Daniels is, like, their backcourt of the future. I think that's a good thing for them. The question would be is just, like, who else do they value? So, like, for example, DeAndre Hunter this year off the bench has been, like, pretty damn good for them. So, I don't really think he's going to be that available in trades, but maybe. But, I mean... Yeah, just quick look. It would be Bogdanovich would be the biggest person going. God, you have to make a lot of ground though. So I mean, Larry Nance. That does not even get you enough to get Zach. Let's see how close we are though. Got there. Atlanta's hard capped. And okay, got it. You need to make up $9 million. So basically what I'm saying is DeAndre Hunter would have to be in the trade, which I think at this point this is too much for Zach, right? Like why would the Hawks do this? You're trading, then you're starting shooting on your sixth man for another starting small forward. Or I guess you're starting. I don't even know what. I don't know what Bogdanovich. Is Bogdanovich coming off the bench? I don't even know at this point. He's coming off the bench. Okay. I mean, this would have to be the deal, but like, why would they do this? And then I just keep always sending Torrey Craig just because, but hold on, I just want to see. Via min. Nope, so it doesn't work. Okay, can I do a TPE instead? Okay, no. Okay, whatever. Well, that's my school late lottery. I had Wemby, Black Miller, Hendricks, Grady, Jason. Oh wow. Okay. There's lower memory higher than black on most. Wow. I'm shocked you have black that high, honestly. You think Blazers still trying to develop Scoot, Kobe for Scoot to unprotect their pick? I don't know why the Blazers would do that. Well, welcome back. But I don't really think that's I don't really think that's worth it for the Blazers personally. Like they may not be looking to develop Scoot anymore, but why would they unprotect their pick? Think about Bogdanovich or Onyeka, Larry Nance plus a first and a second. I also think it's too much for them for Zach. We're talking about Vucevic, Charles. Or sorry. We're talking about Levine, Charles, not Vuce. Bogdanovich is off the bench. Sorry, Charles. We're talking. I messed up. We're talking about Zach. We're talking about Levine for Hunter and Bogdanovich. But Noel brought up this trade. I'm trying to figure out if that's worth it. Okay, hold on. I'll reset it. So here's Noel's idea. So it'll be Bogdanovich, Onyeka Okongwu, Larry Nance. And then I'm just gonna throw in Torrey Craig again, just because. Okay, and then he's saying that Atlanta would give up first, so it would be. I didn't realize Atlanta had the Lakers' first round pick this year. Sacramento's pick, like, this is not that valuable, but sure. So I guess I would personally take the Lakers pick, knowing that it's gonna be higher, but at least we would, no matter what, get it. And he would say a second, so I'll just take Minnesota's. I guess my only reason why I'm hesitant about this is just because I think that for Atlanta they're probably looking to make a move, but a Levine and Young backcourt is not going to do wonders for your defense. Now it's a hell of a backcourt offensively. It's just that you're going to have some trouble defensively in that backcourt, and I don't think giving up all these assets for that is worth it. In terms of just raw value, forget the team construct. Forget the team construct here. I don't know if the Bulls could get a first out of this deal just because we would get Okongwu, but let's say for example we get rid of the first, but we get 3 seconds out of it. So I'll take the Clippers pick. Or I guess you know what? Hold on, I take that back. Let's say it's a first round pick, but it's protected from Atlanta. Then I could see it. We wouldn't just get a raw first round pick from Atlanta. It'd have to be protected. And then I don't know if we get a second out of it at that point. But this right here, I think is this would be this is Zach's value in a sense in terms of the new CBA. This is probably Zach's value. Maybe it's a little bit less than that. But this is kind of what I imagine Levine's value is at right now. Again, I don't think this is worth it for Atlanta just because of team construct. Atlanta's kind of the same place right now as the Bulls. I mean, I think Atlanta's in a better spot than the Bulls. But they are in an interesting spot where they have to make a decision on what to do with Trae Young in the future. Which it seems like they bought into Trae Young, but I won't lie. I am concerned about what's next for them because I mean the DeJounte Murray experiment didn't work clearly. They got Dyson Daniels out of it, thank God. So that's giving them hope. But who are you rolling with moving forward? That's the biggest thing. So Trae's here. I'm guessing after this season you're gonna move on from Capella and you're gonna be letting out Kongwu start. So like there's your starting center. Jalen Johnson is one of your forwards, so that's good. But then like who's your other guy? Like I guess is Risache. It's a little awkward just in terms of like timing with like how Young's age and then the other guys' age. Hunter might honestly be on the move. Maybe, I don't know. I would personally try to keep him from Atlanta right now because he's playing pretty good. But at least in my opinion, they're in a better spot because they have more things to trade if they're going to actually go and try to be good. I don't really know what Risache's value is right now, but at least I'm intrigued by him. So like you kind of have like some sort of like thoughts of like, oh, maybe Risache is gonna turn into something nice. But you know, Young and Jalen Johnson is like a nice thing. With if Dyson Daniels can kind of figure their crap out, like yeah, like that's a nice kind of thing to move forward with. But you probably need to, it's either that Jalen Johnson or Risache has to like turn into like the next, like the other scorer or like potentially the best player on the team, or you need to go trade for the best player on the team, Jimmy Butler maybe. That's not gonna happen. But now that's kind of what Atlanta has to do, but they have the assets to do so. Like they have the picks, they have the young talent, they have the contracts to go and get like, you know, the best player to play next to Trae Young. Which I know is hard now. I understand that's like a hard thing to do right now. You can't, like, no one's trading guys right now. But that's kind of the idea. I didn't realize Jalen Johnson signed such a big deal, honestly. But this is good value for them. Like, I mean, in 29, 30, like, if $30 million is only 13% of the cap, like, that's very good. Yeah, this ended up not being a game. That kind of sucks. All their players are actually tradable for Hawks and they have high upside. Yeah, I think the Hawks are in a better spot right now. Like a much better spot. I understand like right now, like currently, they're kind of like in like purgatory. In terms of like where they are in the standings, like they're 19, 18, like they're just above the Bulls. They're basically 500, right? But I see more of a future for them with their young guys and, you know, with their assets to get better than what the Bulls are doing right now. Like, let's say the Bulls actually like unless they actually like do the right thing and try to rebuild. But let's say the Bulls don't do that, then I don't know what the hell the path is to get to being back to being good. Because again, I was saying that if you trade DeRozan and you trade Caruso at the correct time, which should, you know, before this past offseason, like if you trade them at the correct time and you got enough assets to, you know, kind of reset a little bit, and then you could keep Zach and you could try to, you know, retool around him or I guess that, like, or should I say with him, then I think that there's a pathway for you to go and be good again. And not have to rebuild. But because they didn't do that, because they traded DeRozan too late, which was a sign and trade for second rounders, and then they traded Caruso and didn't get any picks out of it, and Vooch is still on the team, that's not enough. The next steps of that would have been trade Kobe and you know, make a decision with P. Will and see what you could do. But that would have been a path for the Bulls to stay competitive, but they didn't do that. So because they didn't do that, I'm like, you have to rebuild. Like at least in my opinion, because I don't see enough assets to work with. For the Bulls, I mean, in terms of just picks, right? Like, I mean, we don't know if they're going to keep their pick this year. They got Sacramento's pick in terms of second rounders, and then, you know, pick is up in the question through 2027 for the Bulls. I mean, they have basically all their first round picks technically, but like that's not enough. And then this Portland pick, I mean, who knows if this will ever come to the Bulls? Like, let's just be honest, it's probably not coming to the Bulls. I would bet though that at least maybe this year, like 2028, comes to the Bulls, which hopefully. But the Bulls don't have another second round pick until 2028, which is Sacramento's again. It's not even their own. And then this is up in question about their own, because if the San Antonio pick doesn't go, then that's up in the air. So yeah, it's overall just, it's frustrating. Only the Swiss Army knife is a bit all for the future of the years of being decent. Yeah, Hawks definitely potentially be 4th/5th in the conference in a few years. I would agree with that if they make the right move. Whether it's to say sign a free agent or they make the right trade, then yeah. But they can't just wait. Like that's the problem with Atlanta. It's like they don't make the big move. DeJounte Murray was supposed to be the big move, but it was the wrong move. So where do you stand on Bradley Beal thing? Sorry if you talked about it in another live. I've talked about it briefly. What do you mean by that though, Camille? Like, what do I stand about it in terms of like what the Phoenix Suns are doing about it, or what Bradley Beal's doing, or where do I think Beal's going? Like what do you mean specifically? Because I can answer all those questions. Somehow, so best future in conference definitely are Cavs, Magic, Celtics for a few ones. Hawks might shuffle next year, like next in growing Pistons. So the Pistons, I want to have faith in the Pistons, but I feel like they're just gonna find a way to mess it up anyway. I agree though, like Magic, Cavs for sure. Those are the two that I'm like are up there, and then assuming the Celtics don't break up their core, then they'll obviously be up there. New York is interesting, but they should be up there. And then it, unfortunately, just the Eastern Conference is so weird because things fluctuate so fast. But my team that honestly, I don't know what the Pacers are gonna do. Theoretically, they should be up there as well, but we don't know. And then if the 76ers can figure their shit out, then like sure, but that's also a big question mark. So yeah, the Hawks need to make the right moves. Oh, you're asking about the whole 3-team Levine, Butler, Beal, and okay. So to quickly do this for you, Camille. So I have kind of talked about this, but not exactly that. For the Bulls, I'll just show it to you here. If this was the trade, okay, so I'll just go ahead and do this. So here's the theoretical trade, because money-wise, it should work. For this to work, the Beal would have to waive his no-trade clause, because that's a thing. The only pick they're able to trade is this one, so this would go to Chicago in this sort of sense, because Beal's the worst player of the three, and no trade clause, biggest contract. So Bulls will get this out of it. But if you're wondering about this, okay, if I'm the Bulls, there is no way in hell I'm doing this. Okay, there's no way. I'll tell you why. So sorry, music stopped. Here is Bradley Beal's contract. Okay, so he has this year, next year guaranteed, and then a player option for 26-27. He'll be age 33 at that point. I'm gonna just kind of with the way he's playing, my assumption is that he'll accept that player option. But I mean, who knows? Honestly, with the way the new CBA works out, he might decline it and look for just a longer term contract with more money overall. But I don't know. We'll see. Health matters and everything. To compare it to Levine's contract, okay. Zach is on the same exact sort of like structure where it's this year, next year, and player option 26-27. I'm telling you right now. So first and foremost, this is cheaper for Zach, but also I'm willing to bet my money that if Levine for some reason is still on this team, for after the 25-26 season, I'm willing to bet he is declining this option. Like I'm willing to bet my money if he's healthy that last year, Levine's declining this player option. So the Bulls will get out of this contract quicker. I don't think that's the case for Beal, but not to mention, Beal with that no trade clause is basically putting yourself in jail. Like, you're stuck with Bradley Beal, and so you trading Zach LaVine for being stuck in jail with Bradley Beal for a 2031 first round pick, which again, if you're actively trying to rebuild, then this is not helpful at all. But still, that alone is not helpful in general. It's not worth it. It's just straight up not worth it. You deserve a first round pick alone for taking Bradley Beal's contract. Now add on to the fact that you're trading Zach, like that deserves at least something else in return. Maybe not an extra pick, but you at least deserve something else. The fact that you're only getting Beal and a first round pick in 2031, it's straight up disgusting. You're not gonna be able to trade Bradley Beal, which is what people are like, oh, we'll just trade Beal after that. Like, no, you're not. You're not gonna trade Beal. The Phoenix Suns have to give up a first round pick just to trade Beal in the first place. Why would another team suddenly be like, yeah, we'll take Bradley Beal, we'll give you some good assets now? That's not gonna happen. Not worth it in my opinion whatsoever. I would much rather just keep Zach and just try to figure out if I could trade him for something else later. Yeah, like there's just many better options. Why would you financially hurt yourself even more when you've been trying to get out of this financial contract from Zach? The argument for was like, if we aren't going to be competitive anyway in the next few, we should get a first round pick out of it. Not that I agree, but it's in 2031. Like we're not, you don't even get that pick. Like you don't even see this pick here. Like we're talking so far down the road that it's not worth it at all. If you're telling me that we would get a 2026 first round pick, then maybe I'd listen to it a little bit more. But that the 2031 pick is just not useful to you. That's so far down the road. I'm aware that like, oh, Phoenix will be god awful at that point, but I don't want to bet my money on that, and that's so far down the road that I can't plan with it. It's just straight up not worth it in my opinion. Because again, like the only pick that Phoenix can trade is that 2031 pick. Like they aren't able to trade any other picks. Like I don't think they're able to swap. And this is incorrect. Like they're not able to trade this, but I guess they're able to swap this year's pick. But like the Bulls gonna be worse than the Bulls, or the Phoenix Suns gonna be worse than. Sorry, the Bulls gonna be worse than the Suns anyway. So it's not even that. It's not even worth it. Yeah, I personally, Camille, I mean, unless you can like tell me some sort of argument for like why those people think like, oh yeah, it's worth it. To me, it's just not worth it. You're putting yourself in more financial hardship. You're putting yourself in a jail with Beal. And you're getting a 2031 first round pick out of it. That's so far down the road that I can't even think about it. Not worth it. I am willing to trade Zach for something much else. Like I'm willing to trade Zach for expiring contracts and second rounders instead of this. This is a horrific idea. The takeaways that I'd hate to be the Suns. Okay, so the Suns are in this weird spot right now because the Beal no trade clause is problematic. However, just with the way that I think with how Beal has kind of been talking about things, and not every player with a no trade clause needs to go to a like, oh, we're a contending level team. Like I think with Beal, he's not going to go to obviously a rebuilding team, but I think he is willing to waive the no trade clause if he goes to like a competitive team. And so if he can go and be like the second option on a competitive team and have the ball in his hands more, they may not be like contenders, but like if it's just a competitive level team, I think he's willing to waive the no trade clause for that. The problem though is for the Phoenix Suns is what are you going to get for him? That's the biggest issue because they don't have the leverage in the scenario. So it's like, we want Jimmy Butler. It's like, well, you're trading Bradley Beal, who has like no value. And so the only thing you can trade is a 2021 or 2031 first round pick. Okay. Which is pretty valueless at the moment. So how do you send out enough value to another team or create a 3-team trade that whoever is trading you, for the Miami Heat, like if you're trading Jimmy Butler to the Suns, like how do you create enough value for the Heat so that's worth it? And I just don't know. Like, I don't think that's possible for them. That's the biggest issue. So it's like the no trade clause in itself is a problem. But I actually think just because of how everything is structured, it's just like the no trade clause is part of it, but it's just Beal's value is just at an all-time low. So yeah, I don't know what exactly it would take. I don't personally see a way. I think honestly, if I'm the Phoenix Suns, I am trying to figure it out with Beal. That's like my biggest thing. Like, if I'm the Phoenix Suns, I'm just like looking at like potential like little margins I can kind of fix. Go get more defenders if you can. If Bradley Beal is like genuinely willing to come off the bench, which he is doing right now, then sure, you'll live with that, and you'll try to figure out the rest of the lineup somewhere else. But like, you know, Tyus Jones hasn't exactly done the best for them. Ryan Dunn is their best defender as a rookie. They need another center. Nurkic has been pretty awful, so figure it out, I guess. Try to figure out ways around the margins, which I understand that they don't have a lot to do. Like, they can't trade a lot of things. They can't sign buyouts because they're so far into the second apron that they're not allowed to do that. So it's going to be pretty rough for them. So you're going to have to find a ways to get creative to make some sort of deals to win the margins. Which, I won't lie, bro, like, this three-headed monster of all this money is insane. Because Beal is the biggest issue, but, I mean, you're talking, like, you know, people think Zach's contract's big, but, I mean, Booker's making more than Levine this year. But, I mean, it's Durant and Booker is making $100 million this year. Like, the salary cap is $140 million. That alone in itself is insane. Nurkic's contract's not helping either right now because he's making a pretty good chunk of money, but he sucks. So, I don't know, bro. Lot to have to figure out here. But I'm with you, Camille, is that if I'm the Phoenix Suns, I am in hell. I don't want to be here. That loss to Charlotte was awful for them, by the way. I think they won their next game, I think. Yes. Oh no, they didn't. Okay, so yeah, that was their last game. Oh my god, bro. This game's awful. Like, I looked at this and I was just like, how the hell did the Phoenix Suns lose to Charlotte? I understand LaMelo's here, but like this Hornets team's not good. Beal came off the bench and not have a good game. And this is, I mean, Nurkic is now off the bench too. Like, this is garbage, bro. I mean, Booker finally like put up a good game since he got back, but I mean, Durant's 8 of 18. Like, they have some serious issues right now. And I don't know what James Jones is feeling like right now at the moment, because like James Jones was like, we gotta go get Durant, right? And props to James Jones, he got Durant, and I thought that was the correct move. The problem is that Ishbia pushed for Beal, and I don't think James Jones wanted Beal, but Ishbia pushed for it, and it's just like, it is literally killed this team's ability to like win the margins and try to figure out ways to, like, if they have weaknesses, how do you get better? They don't have that ability right now. It's just straight up not possible. So yeah, like, they got to get Beal's contract off the books, which that alone in itself will get you to the first apron, so you'll have more options if you do that. But like, there's no way that you're only able to you're able to get Beal's contract off the books and not take back any salary. That's just not possible. So I don't know what to do. You have to trade Nurkic to some other team. Yeah, it's looking bad. So I don't know, bro. If you can find a way to like, call the Wizards and try to figure out like facilitate some sort of like 3-team trade to get Valanciunas instead, and like, you'll trade Nurkic to the Wizards. Wizards will get picks out of it. And you know, some way somehow the trade works out. Like, that would be worth it. You have Valanciunas instead of Nurkic. Like, that would definitely be worth it. But I don't know how exactly that's going to happen. Like, they are, because of the new CBA and because of how much money is wrapped up between those three guys and Beal's no trade clause, it is just so many. There's just so many problems. They just don't have any ability to do anything. It's just so bad to try to figure out. So many centers available at bad teams at the moment. Yeah, but they're also making like enough money so that the new CBA is killing their value. Because like I think a lot of centers that are like making like decent chunk of money, for example, like Vooch is probably moved already at this point with the old CBA. The new CBA has really screwed over the teams that like can, you know, trade for like a $20 million salary. But because now they're in the second apron or whatever, or they're close to the first apron, or like you can get hard capped at the second apron now, like it's screwing over teams. So that they're not able to trade for those guys now. That's what's happening. Like Levine obviously has gotten absolutely killed by this new CBA, but it's also guys like Valanciunas and Vucevic who have been legitimately destroyed, or like Pirtle for the Raptors, which they might just keep them. But it's like those guys that that got really messed up from the new CBA because the teams that like would probably want them, they can't easily trade for them anymore. They'd have to give up more than they would want, and it's killing things. I understand what HBO's going for, but picks are NBA currency and they just don't have it. Well, so they got rid of all their picks in the Durant deal, so that wasn't the issue. The issue was that they traded for Bradley Beal, and they financially strapped themselves. Now, granted, they didn't know the new CBA was coming in. Like that's not their fault about the new CBA, because if this was the old CBA, they would have some ways to kind of move around the margins to kind of navigate through things and find ways to make some deals. But the Beal trade really financially strapped them. Like that killed their financial flexibility. That was the big issue. They didn't really have to give up a lot in the Beal deal, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let's see. Oh, actually, I'm wrong. Wait, was that how it went? Oh, okay, hold on. 20. Okay, it was swaps. Okay, got it. Yeah, so they gave up all their picks in the Durant deal. Like they all the first round picks went to the Nets. Yeah, here we go. So like you see this, like this is all the picks. Now they did all the swaps with the Wizards, which will be interesting to look at down the road. But like for now, it's not that much. But they did give up all their second rounders. That is true there. But yeah, the problem though with the Beal trade is that it just financially like strapped them hard. Because Chris Paul's contract was like helpful. They had Shamet. Like that was the issue. Is it up if they start offering lower contracts to fit the new CBA? Players get paid enough, and it's the cap as the excuse. That's fair. Now I personally just want them to renegotiate the CBA. This CBA is garbage. The fact that CJ McCollum let this go through is insane, or whoever let this go through is insane. Like this new CBA is one of the worst things ever. New CBA once Snow makes signings look worse. Looks at Bulls. I mean, this new CBA is one of the worst things ever. Like I looked at this new CBA, I was just like, before it officially got implemented, I was just like, what the hell is this? This is garbage. And now obviously as we're in it, it just feels even worse. This new CBA, in my opinion, though, they just got to renegotiate it somehow. Owners are way too happy with this new CBA. Players are getting screwed over. We got too many players that are NBA caliber players not playing in the NBA because of this new CBA. A lot of teams are just only carrying 14 players because of this new CBA. That's the problem. Like that in and itself, it's like, it's not like, oh, we need to lower the contracts to fit the new CBA. It's this new CBA is just straight up dog shit. This CBA is horrific, and I can't believe CJ McCollum let this go through. He alone should be like honestly just fired for this, like this going through. Like it's insane that this went through. And the bit I really think sucks is it can't aggregate salaries. I mean, that's just one of the main issues with it. The second apron teams cannot aggregate salaries, which is insane. but it's also just the fact that the fact that we have a second apron is stupid. We should not have that. They at least let it be accurate, but the same number in it as out. I mean, I understand what you're saying. Like, that would be helpful, but I still don't understand why we need to have different trade rules for a second apron team. But sure, I guess, you know. The one thing they did get right with the new CBA was that the second round, they implemented a second round exception so that like you don't have to send a second round pick to you don't have to sign a second round pick to your either non-taxpayer mid-level exception or your biannual exception or your cap space, right? They implemented the little exception for the second round selection. So for example, Julian Phillips was signed to the second round exception. So they're able to sign into a 4-year contract without having to sign him to a mid-level exception. So this, for example, Julian Phillips' contract is the second round exception. Which you can see. I guess they won't. Oh, here it is. Yeah, using second round exceptions. Like that was a good thing. But that's like one of the like few good things. Because profits are so high that maybe teams were tempted to pay more for players and sit well above caps. Well, you have to understand, Charles, a lot of teams sit well above caps. Like, the salary cap in itself is like a lot of teams sit above it. Not every team though is obviously in the luxury tax, right? But if you go and look at like, yeah, I'll even show you. Like, most teams are always above the salary cap. That's always been the case. I mean, here, I'll go back. Like, this year, I mean, you can look, like, all these teams are above the salary cap. Like, besides Oklahoma City, every single team here is above the salary cap. Every single one. Okay? Like, I can go back even further. Like, I mean, all these teams are above the salary cap. The difference now is the luxury tax. That's the luxury tax now. It's like, it's such a fee. It's like, not only is the fee higher, but it's also just, it's straight up just problematic that if you're paying more money, that team cannot have as many players because of the money that has to be spent, or they aren't able to make as many good deals now. Like, that doesn't make any sense. If the owner is willing to pay the bill, then they shouldn't be punished for it. That's why lots of teams sit above the cap, so I wasn't doing much having it alone. What is this going to do then this, like, for this now? Like, more teams are going to just be, like, the same amount of teams are going to just be above the salary cap. Like, every single team is above the salary cap right now this season, except for the Utah Jazz. Like, every single team is going to be above the salary cap no matter what. The problem is now is that less teams are going to go into the luxury tax. If that was the whole point of this, then the players got it wrong, because that just benefits the owners. If the whole point of this was that, hey, we should get less teams should be in the luxury tax, that's absolute dog shit. Like, that's not how we should be doing things. Like, the way I always look at it is that owners should be willing to spend the luxury tax. Hence Jerry Reinsdorf. Like, Jerry Reinsdorf now has like every excuse in the world to not go into the luxury tax now. But I promise you, Charles, every team from here on out is like, if you're thinking that more teams will be below the salary cap after this, that's not gonna happen. That won't happen. There's gonna be, every single team will be below the salary cap. It's just that less teams will be in the luxury tax now, which is stupid. That's garbage. Which means less players get paid, less trades happen, less blockbuster deals happen, less good teams are being formed, and less bills get paid to the league office in terms of luxury tax bills. That's garbage. Hence, the Karl-Anthony Towns trade for the Minnesota Timberwolves happens because of this new CBA. Like, that's the problem. I don't want to see that. Want a new rule, though, if you drop player accounts differently towards caps? What do you mean? Charles, I'm straight up saying if they thought this was gonna work, they are insane. Like I looked at this and I was like, this is garbage. I don't know how business works. I don't know how to negotiate a CBA. But if they thought this was gonna, for whatever reason, get people to not be always over the salary cap, they got this completely incorrect. This was completely wrong. If they thought that this gave them more flexibility, then they were just flat out wrong. Like, everything about this is incorrect. Everything. Let's see if you drop the player and extend it to get a percentage reduction in how it costs towards cap so long as they stay on the same team or we're drafting. Well, okay, so they've already done multiple things for that. First and foremost, now this new CBA now, which again I guess this is another good thing. You're able to now give alpha rookie deals. You're able to give them 5-year contracts, so 5-year extensions. You weren't able to do that unless there's a max contract. Okay, so that's one rule. The other rules though are just the restricted free agency. Like if you draft a player, they're pretty much like if you draft good and it's a good player, they're pretty much under your control for at least the next 8 years because of restricted free agency. Because if that player goes to restricted free agency and goes and gets a contract, right, then you just match it. You have bird rights. Now, here's the issue though. With this new CBA, you're right that if it's too much for that certain player, then this new CBA is like saying like, oh, we can't pay for it, right? Because luxury tax now. That's a problem. Because in my opinion, at least in my opinion, Charles, for how I would have work with that is that the luxury tax isn't as much of a problem. Hence, then players are more willing to spend and keep their players. I personally do not want to ever see players get less money because I think they deserve the money. They're the product. They're the reason why the NBA gets views. They deserve the money. They should not. None of their contracts should be cut into. That makes no damn sense in my opinion. As the idea that a team like OKC may have drafted beasts, but they have to trade them due to salaries feels unfair. Well, the reason why they have to trade, the reason why they have to trade them though is because they're going to be too far into the luxury tax, and the luxury tax penalties are too much now. Like, there's no reason to. There's a bigger tax level for the second apron, not any of the other rules, and I think better. Yeah, I think that's okay too. It's not exactly what I would personally do, but it would be it'd be 10 times better than what we see right now. Like, the biggest issues now is that front offices, if they go higher into the luxury tax, they can't do shit. Like, they can't actively make their team better. That's not how this is supposed to work in the NBA. Like, if you're spending a shit ton of money and then you can't make your team better because of the new rules of spending money, that's garbage. That's not how it's supposed to work. You should, like, there should be obviously penalties, right? But the way that they've made it now is garbage. You can't spend money. Or sorry, you can't make any sort of moves. Now, you can't even sign a buyout guy now. That in itself is insane. That you can't sign a guy if they're bought out this year. You can't go and sign them after a certain date. Like, that's insane. Or no, they just straight up can't sign them actually. Like, that is insane to see from the new CBA. What kind of penalties were you thinking? Just more money. Like, you'd have to pay a bigger tax bill for the more money you spend. You discount for players on their original drafted teams and how counts towards cap by X percentage, so you can extend shut and trade up with the team they have easier in OKC. I understand what you're saying. First and foremost, they'll probably be fine. Like, I think they'll extend both, but I think unfortunately it will get too complicated if you do like the whole if you do the whole discount thing, it's too hard because then you have to figure out like, well, who's actually making what? Because then the salary cap doesn't match their actual salary, or sorry, the cap it doesn't match their actual salary, and then the whole try to trade, you know, matching trades and everything, that's gonna be hard. So again, like that's the reason why I'm just saying like we can't have all these penalties in the luxury tax. Like that's just not possible. I also think that we should just be raising the luxury tax threshold so it's not so far here I'll show you. So the luxury tax threshold, just to go off the Bulls because that's easier. Okay, luxury tax threshold this year is what is it? 170. Sorry, it's 170 million. Okay, so the salary cap's 140. Okay, the Bulls are past that; they're 166. Okay, so there's basically though, from between the salary cap and the luxury tax, there's 30 million ish, let's say. Okay, so that to me, in my opinion, that could either be extended. Okay, so or like a bigger gaps in between that, or you get the first apron for the luxury tax, like which is 178 million. Okay, so again, there's the threshold, then there's the apron. Okay, those are two different things. But the threshold's at 170 million, so once you hit that number, you're in the luxury tax. But the apron's at 178 million. That, in my opinion, cannot be just 8 million above the luxury tax line. That needs to be much higher. The fact that it's only 8 million above the luxury tax line is insane. That cannot happen. Then we added a second apron to it, which is just like, what the hell is that? Not only can you be hard capped at the first apron, but now you can be hard capped at the second apron. That's not how it's supposed to work. Players should continue to get their money, but if you don't want teams to get punished as hard, then you need to make sure that the punishments are not as hard when it's like this level of like spending. Once you get into like the extreme level of spending, then I'm fine for the punishments being hella high. But the fact that we're at like you're getting punished for spending so much for that much money just to keep your guys, but then you're punished for automatically just going to the first apron, but then also then you're punished for going to the second apron, like that's insane. Not to mention then you can get hard capped at two different aprons. Like that shouldn't be allowed. If there's going to be a hard cap at these aprons, they got to be much higher than they are right now. It's just the way that the money is in this league, you cannot hard cap only 8 million above the luxury tax line. That's insane. Yeah, so sorry, I'm also sorry to harp on it because I will always be complaining about this, about CJ McCollum and co. And I think it's Grant Williams who's also on the board. But I sincerely, I lost my mind when I saw this new CBA. I was just like, holy crap, this is gonna suck. And we're already seeing it. And I think all Bulls fans are feeling it because we can't trade Zach and Vooch. Yeah, not to mention then, if you do keep your players, like you said, Charles, like, you're punished. You're heavily punished right now if you keep your players and you give them their money that they deserve. And I really don't want to be going backwards in terms of money for these guys. Like, I understand, like, you know, I understand a lot of people are like, well, they're making millions. Like, first and foremost, I want you guys to understand, like, Levine is making $43 million this year. In reality, he probably only takes back like 20 million. Like, he probably only takes home 20 million. Okay. And the reality of the situation is this. I understand a lot of people think like, oh, well, once they're done playing, like, they're set for life. Well, if you really think about it, a lot of these guys that don't get paid a ton of money in the NBA, let's say they're only getting like very small contracts here and there, and then they're done playing in the NBA for, you know, let's just say they play for 8 years. Like, they probably gave up a college degree, probably did not go into whatever other options they could have went into to go and try to play in the NBA. They made millions, right? But they're not making millions for the rest of their career. Okay. Are they better off than a lot of other people? Sure. But it's not like they're better off in terms of in terms of like moving forward in their life for the rest of their life, like that money will run dry. Because again, you know, if you have to understand, like a lot of people in the United States, they work until 67 now because of Social Security, but NBA players, a lot of them are done at least by 35. So you made millions, but you're done at 35. So what exactly is the calculations? Like, are you gonna be able to live off of that for the rest of your life? I don't know. But again, like they probably gave up on you know, on other, you know, life opportunities to go and play in the NBA. So again, is like Levine will be fine for life. Like obviously, I'm obviously like I'm saying like the max contract players, they'll be fine for life. But some of these other guys though, like I don't know. So I don't want to ever see though when it comes to when we talk about like, you know, CBA, like new contracts, I don't want to see us go backwards because these guys go and they're the product. Okay, they deserve the money. There's only a handful of people in this world that can go out and play professional basketball in the NBA. Okay, this is the top level in the world in terms of basketball. Okay, these guys deserve their money. Okay, I understand a lot of people like you know, we're all upset at billionaires right now, which I am too. Like if you ask me, I mean there's a certain billionaire that took over Twitter that is I absolutely despise him. But when it comes to these guys, like they're not Elon Musk. They're basketball players that give up their livelihood, okay, to go and do this. There are only a handful of people in the world that can go and be a professional basketball player every single year, okay? This is, like, they deserve their money. They absolutely deserve the money that they're getting. Levine and what he gets now, right, is like, you know, 30% of the cap. I mean, it was much different back then. Like, we're talking much, much different back then. What, 30% of the cap back then is very different. 30% of the cap back in 2013-14 is what Derrick Rose got, which was $17 million, okay? I understand inflation's a thing, but the amount of money the NBA has been bringing in has allowed these players to get bigger money, okay? But can you imagine, right? I mean, Nazim Muhammad was on the team this entire season. He made $800K, which again, a lot of people don't make $800K in a year. I understand that. But taxes plus everything else. But Nazim Muhammad made $800K this year, which, you know, before even paying his agents. Like, that's not really a lot. And he's not going to go into his age 45 year of his life and make $800K, right? Like, these guys, like, again, this is what I'm saying. Like, these guys don't have a job when they're done. Like, they're not all guaranteed a job when they're done with this sport. Like, that's the reason why, like, especially when it comes to like baseball right now, like minor leaguers, they try to make it into the MLB and they're getting paid $60K a year. Like, they gave up their livelihood to go play baseball for $60K a year, and they barely make ends meet, and some of them never make it to the MLB. And so you don't have a college degree, you didn't go to a trade school because you try to go and play in professional sport, and that's it. You didn't get paid a lot, and you got to go figure out the rest of your life now. Which there's ways. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying that these guys give up a lot. Like, this is, I'm aware that a lot of them are more fortunate than us. Like, I get that, but at the same time, like, the amount of people have to do the calculations in their head. Like, if you don't get paid a lot in the NBA, and now you got to go live the rest of your life off the money you just made, it's gonna run dry. I promise you. So I will always say when it comes to this sort of stuff that we should not ever be going backwards in terms of contracts, okay? Like, I don't want to be thinking, oh, players now, like, if you're this level caliber player, you should be accepting less money now. Like, that's not something I want to do. I want to be always adding more for these guys and not affecting the salary cap. Like, it would just be the same effect of the salary cap, basically. But I want guys to get paid more, pretty much. Like, again, for example, Lonzo Ball is getting paid $21 million this season, okay? Like, change this, again, 2012-13, okay? I mean, he's getting paid like $10 million back then. Like, it's a very different world. Or not even, 15%? Dear Lord. Yeah, like, he's not even getting paid, like, what is he getting paid back here? So this is 19% is 11 million. So 15% is, I mean, 8%. I mean, eight. Yeah, I mean, it's 9 million. I mean, I haven't even gotten to like this year. Like this is even smaller year. Like I don't think people understand, bro. No, not even. Oh my god. I mean, let's say this year for Lonzo Ball, like, and this guy's getting, so Derrick Rose this year got, let's say 10% is 5 million. Okay. Like, okay. So 20% is 10 million. So you're getting paid 8 million if you're Lonzo Ball? I appreciate it, Albert. I may grind and sleep travels to see. I mean, I understand that part too, but I do, like, I don't always talk about like travel / sleep schedule and stuff because like they got all the amenities in the world for that. Like they're fine with that. But again, like I'm talking about like moving forward in their lives. Like that's not exactly easy for them. Living the rest of the life off 6 million made in NBA is easy, even excluding the ability just to own passive income source that value. But I appreciate a different view. Okay, so go ask some of the, let's go ask a player then who played NBA for 5 years. They got minimum contracts every single year. Do you think they're fine? Because I don't think they're fine. They're not gonna be able to live off the rest of their own earnings. Because not to mention, because again, it's like minimum contract, sure. All right, you get paid like two million each year. But that's before taxes, that's before paying your agent, that's before any other expenses. Okay? That's not enough, right? You're not going to be able to live off the rest of your life from that alone, right? So I'm just saying, especially for some of these other guys that, like, we're talking about other, like, way back then, where it's like, you know, we're talking like, you know, let's just take Ronnie Brewer for example. Like Ronnie Brewer is making $4 million, okay, and let's say he only plays for 8 seasons, right? $4 million each year. Again, you're not taking home $4 million. You gotta pay your agent. You gotta pay all these other expenses before taxes, right? Like, and again, they could be living just like a normal life, not living lavishly. You're not exactly like gonna be thinking like, oh yeah, we're set for life here. Like you'll be better off than a lot of other people, but you're not fully set for life. Like people think that they're living in luxury for the rest of their lives. That's not exactly the case. Most of these players not fine spent on crazy expenses too. If it live fast, like no, I understand that, Charles. But there are players that do not do that, and they don't get paid enough money to go and live the rest of their life just a normal life. So it's pretty high relatives for low contracts. Again, I understand that, sure, but just as much as we've had to deal with inflation as, you know, as just normal population, these guys also have to deal with it too. So again, it's like your low contracts. I understand. It's like, hey, this is it's better now in terms of what it was before, but again, Julian. Let's just say randomly Julian Phillips just like he isn't able to play anymore. Like he made $1 million in 800K this year. That's not enough to go and live the rest of your life, no matter if you're living just like a normal life, okay? Like, we're just normal population. You're not living off that the rest of your life. It's nice to have it, but you're not living off the rest of your life with just that alone, okay? Again, this is before taxes, this is before paying your agent. It's before all these other stuff that these guys also pay. Like, it's not exactly like as if like, oh yeah, they're fine. And again, none of these guys, their careers are not guaranteed for the rest of their, like, they think they're playing the next year. That's not guaranteed. So once again, I am always just for these guys need to get paid, because the league itself gets paid billions of dollars. Okay, like if we're actively thinking that, oh, the player's getting paid too much, then what the fuck is the NBA getting paid? What the fuck are some of these people that don't go play basketball, that have to make that they think they're important to make all these business decisions? Where are they getting paid then? You don't think that they're getting paid lavishly? They're not. You don't think they're living a lavish life? Those are the guys, in my opinion, that we should be taking pay cuts from. Like, those are the guys that need to lower their money, if we're really being honest with ourselves. But instead, though, it's always blame the players, right? Because that's always how we do things. Which, I'm not saying you're doing that specifically, Charles. I'm just saying that that's what people always do. When in reality, it's like, these are the guys that are why the NBA exists. Like, these are the reason why you get the ratings. These are the reason why you bring in the money. This is the reason why you get broadcasted on ESPN. Okay? The NBA isn't able to do this just without players. Like, these guys deserve their money. And oh, by the way, just so we're also clear, front offices get paid millions of dollars too. Okay, like just want to put that out there. You know, we think that players get paid too much money, but like the front offices are getting paid millions of money. Okay, they're not out there on the court. They're the ones making decisions. Which, yeah, you're making decisions for a $1 billion organization. You should be getting paid a lot. That's your job. But if the team sucks, then, bro, you're getting paid to make a team that sucks. So right now, Arturas Karnisovas right now is getting paid millions of dollars for a team that sucks. Just saying, that's not the player's fault. That's the front office's fault. But sure, let's blame the players, right? Just pointing it out there. And oh, by the way, there's an owner who is also a very, very rich owner who owns 2 professional sports teams that will never, ever, ever try to give out pennies. He will always try to save every damn penny of his life. But sure, we gotta blame the players instead, right? Players should be taking less money because they're getting paid so much. No, that's not how it's supposed to work. There is other money in the world right now that I think should be spread around, and it does not come from these guys. The guys that you're seeing right here. It doesn't come from these guys, okay? These guys deserve their money. They should keep their money, and they deserve to get more money. But when it comes to some of these other billionaires that make decisions constantly, Bulls at 35 games to decide direction this season, right? I don't remember that quote ever being said, but maybe. If that was the case, then we're definitely trying to compete then. I mean, you will be okay with players being paid more, but 0.5% per loss, so they try harder every game, so all kinds salary cap. I don't know about that necessarily, but I mean, if you ask Jokic, he'd probably agree with you. But a player can lose 41% of their salary if they lose every game. Yeah, you can ask Jokic about that. I would disagree personally, but sure. Monty Williams is actually getting paid for what he did last year. Yeah, Monty Williams is sitting at home getting paid a ton of money to sit at home right now. Okay. Jerry Reinsdorf, same thing. Again, Jerry Reinsdorf's getting paid a lot of money just to sit at home right now. Okay. Not saying that it's just like, oh yeah, they're not doing any, like they're not like actively like making hard decisions. Like they have hard decisions to make, but still just pointing out there that if you're thinking that these guys get paid too much money, then what the hell do you think about the owners? What about the NBA people, the NBA business itself that makes billions of dollars every year? Okay. Like, what do we think about that? Like, that's money that could also be taken away from if we were being dead serious about this, but we don't do that. We don't talk about that because it's like, oh no, that's business. I'm like, well, this is also business. Like, these guys are business. This isn't like a, oh yeah, you want to play in the NBA? Come on in. Like, no, this is business. I was gonna be too much too. That's how USA de-stacks that situation, etc. Though. Oh, I agree. Oh, definitely. But I'm just saying though, right? If we're saying that the players get paid too much, like, what? I'm just saying that the owners are also here. They better bring it to Americans. So yeah, I mean, I'm an American. It's not scary as fuck to bring it up to me. What kind of contract do you think Lonzo will get next year from us or from another team? So if the season ended today, Camille, I think Lonzo's getting like a 2-year contract right now. It's either a 2 or 3 year deal. If it's a 3-year deal, the last year's non-guaranteed, and then the second year is partially guaranteed. And if it's a 2-year, it's a 1+1, so it'd be a 1 plus like a team option, ideally. I think he gets paid about, just because he's come off the bench right now, he's getting paid probably about 10-ish million per year, maybe 12. Because he is now playing 24 minutes, so that's good. So I'd say probably around 12 million ish per year. Sorry, per year. Yeah, for Lonzo though, it's gonna be interesting to look at how he's gonna approach it, because what Lonzo might want though is he might be willing to take less salary like per year, but if it offers him more financial security down the road, then he might be willing to take it. So like he might be willing to take $8 million a year, but like if it's all guaranteed for 3 years, then he might be willing to take it. Because that's 24 million guaranteed. But for example, like in my scenario, right? Like let's say you sign a 1+1, where it's like he'll get paid $10 million this year, but then it's a team option for the second year. Like he might be just like, well, that's only $10 million guaranteed. Like I'm not guaranteed that extra 10 million, right? So yeah, it's hit. Clutch is good. Clutch does their clients very well. So I always think that Clutch will figure things out right. But he's probably gonna, no matter what, the contract's gonna have some sort of non-guarantee in it. But it's good. Clutch is gonna try to figure out a way to offer Lonzo as much financial security as possible. Don't know exactly how that looks, but yeah, we'll see. Like Clutch is gonna go into meetings with all teams to be like, we want full years guaranteed, right? Maybe like they're probably gonna want at least a 3-year deal, and they're gonna be like, we want all 3 years fully guaranteed. Teams are just not gonna be willing to offer that. They're gonna probably try to either find some specific clauses to make sure that he plays enough games to guarantee the money, or they're gonna really fight for non-guarantees in his contract. But if I had to give you like a per year number, like right now, if he's just signed like a 1-year contract after this year, with what he's done this year, I'd say it's 1 year, probably 10-ish million, maybe like 8-10-ish million, around there. The only reason why I'm saying what I'm saying though is because if he ends up actually for some reason getting to the point where he can start, then I think he can get more money. But excuse me. That's something I don't know if it's gonna happen this year. So just kind of knowing that he's coming off the bench for probably the rest of this year, he's probably gonna be looking at like around like 8 to 10 million. If he plays like extremely well though, then he'll be probably looking around like 12. I got it, Charles. Yeah, either way though, I mean, you have Anthony Black at number 4 though. I mean, that's pretty high. But I mean, I appreciate you sticking with your guns, because I personally would not have Anthony Black up there. So that's from my limited, pre-draft research. I didn't do a whole lot, so you know a lot more than me. Black versus Scoot now though. I mean, yeah, it definitely looks now better for Black, but yeah, I'm just saying, like, back then, right? I definitely did not have Black it like in my top 5. Definitely did not. Okay. All right. So tomorrow, I don't think any games are on TNT. We'll see if this game does happen. I'm hoping, I'm really hoping things get figured out in SoCal right now, because I know that's literal hell on earth right now for people. So I'm hoping that everyone out there is doing okay, which I know they're not, but I'm really hoping things get figured out. Okay, so games on NBA TV, it looks like. So that one, and I guess it's this one then, right? Nope. Okay, I guess we have one game on NBA TV tomorrow. Great. No wonder my ratings are low. All right, after that, though, the Bulls play on Friday. Bulls will be back at home, so the Bulls are on a 5-game homestand here, which is nice for them. Hopefully, they'll have some time to kind of really work on some things with this homestand. They'll have no time to practice, okay? I just want to make it clear. If you're wondering, oh, they'll have time to practice, they won't. Because it's going to go game, day off, and then there's a back-to-back involved in this as well. So they're not going to have any time to practice here. So don't expect the Bulls to practice at any time, but they'll have, you know, probably some more extended shooting rounds and stuff like that. So no full-out practices, though, for this Bulls team. Bulls going to play Washington on Friday. So you would think the Bulls should win this, but they lost to Washington in the last game. So don't know what to expect from that. Then DeMar DeRozan returns to town for Sunday. It's 2:30 p.m. game on Sunday. So I just want to make this clear right now. Oh, actually, hold on. Give me 1 second here. All right, let me check my schedule. Oh, actually, okay. Never mind. I will be here for this game. I was gonna say I wasn't be able to watch this game, but I will be able to at least record it. We'll see about if I do post-game stream after this one, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see here. Post-game stream will be happening after this Wizards versus Bulls, so 9:30 p.m. Central Time for that. So DeMar DeRozan's back on Sunday, so that'll be fun to watch, and then we'll take on New Orleans after that. We'll see if Zion plays in that one. Atlanta and Charlotte will be the last game of the homestand. So definitely some winnable games for the Bulls coming up here. But I can also, for some way, somehow, I can see the Bulls losing the next 5. Like, just how it goes. So knowing this Bulls team, I could definitely see that this Bulls team somehow losing all 5 when you think, oh, they'll probably win 4 or 5 and they'll lose all 5. This Bulls team at home has been dreadful. So just be ready for some L's that you're not expecting, right? Bulls this year at home are now 7-11. That's actually better than I thought, but they have not been a good home team for whatever reason. So good luck to figuring that one out. There's a U.S. player in Australia called Cotton who is 33, but been like extremely good for years, but likely wouldn't come back. But if they did shoot for it, trying to get him, that would be key. Do draft 40 a night. He's one of the best non-NBA talents by far, most transferable styles. Cotton. Okay. If he's 33 though, it's really tough. Like, a lot of teams would not be interested in him. I appreciate it, Charles. Thank you for checking in, Charles. Did anyone be surprised the Wizards beat us again? I also would not be surprised. Like, the Bulls somehow would lose to the Wizards. Alex Sard, Devil Magic. Yeah. I mean, Sar's he had a recently bad game, but yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Sar just like cooks us or something. Koulibaly maybe. I was maybe shocked somehow the Bulls lose to the Wizards, even though I don't know how it would happen. It would be just like, yeah, like Jordan Poole goes off again. Yeah, Sar has like one hell of a game or something like that, and yeah, Bulls don't play any defense like usual, and then they can't hit their threes. So that's how it would work. Yeah, Kobe can't. Yeah, I mean, really, let's just be real. No one can really guard Jordan Poole on this team. So I appreciate it, Camille. Thank you for checking in, Camille. I sincerely do appreciate it. If for all the people watching, whether it's VOD or if you're watching right now, if you've not hit the like button on the stream, please do. Helps me out a ton. Thank you for all hanging with me tonight. Not a good game whatsoever. Game sucked. But the Bulls did lose. So I think obviously in a game like this, I would much rather just lose than win the game. So nice job losing tonight. And we'll see you Friday. We'll see how the Bulls do Friday as they return back home for a nice start of a nice homestand overall. All right, thank you guys so much. I'll see y'all on Friday. Be safe out there. I know everything's kind of wild in the world right now, especially with the fire, so be safe. All right, peace.